Chapter 2296. In the heavens and on the earth, I am the only one. Grabbing the Yan imperial sword, Wang Yan, who was on the ground, felt stunned. He had not expected Xiao Chen to arrive so quickly. Pa! Boom! Xiao Chen's expression was indifferent, but he did not have the slightest fear. Roar! The moment he said that, Wang Yan's expression changed slightly. He suddenly understood something. The moment the huge palm appeared, Qin Ming jumped in fright. He quickly stopped talking and jumped away in a panic. When Qin Ming, who was still falling, saw Xiao Chen break out of his cage and charge over again, a ferocious light flashed in his eyes. He shouted, "Die!" Even the turbid air that Zhang Xian exhaled was forcefully forced back into his throat. Divine Dragon's secret skill, Prison Chain Frenzied Dragon. The powerful attack was like a torrential storm, it was simply breathtaking. Bang! Bang! He did not show any signs of frustration because of his previous defeat. Instead, his eyes were filled with excitement. It turned into fragments and scattered all over the sky. Horizontally and vertically, they formed a cage, trapping Xiao Chen in the air. The fist light flashed and the dragon's shadow shone brightly. At Xiao Chen's command, the demon blood vulture that looked like a blood phoenix in the air screeched and flew towards the electric white python. Kacha! Firmament's rage. Bang! Bang! Sword, catch! Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and beckoned. The ancestor dragon's rage from the ancient great desolate Aeon appeared in the sky. Vaguely, there seemed to be a universe within it, containing the power of space. Bang! The continuous attacks made everyone feel as if a stone was stuck in their hearts, and the pressure was immense. Otherwise, the aftershock of a random wisp of sword light would cause a destructive blow to the surrounding space. An ancient king's aura spread out from his body. The so-called pure emperor dragons might immediately seemed immature before him. I almost thought you wouldn't be able to make it. Do you think I want to kill the 9th prince? Xiao Chen showed a calm expression as he took out the Heavenly Alliance Envoy medallion unhurriedly. Compared to the Supreme Dragon Fist, these feudal powerhouses even felt that the Emperor Dragon Fist was not worth mentioning. Damn it, why is this strength so fierce? It could rival a strong 4-vein sovereign emperor. What did it mean by the #1 offensive technique in the world? Unwilling to listen to the other party's nagging, Xiao Chen stepped forward and stomped on the other party's head, crushing it into the ground. However, the Supreme Dragon Fist that Xiao Chen executed now showed everyone what a sovereign emperor's violence was. Demon Blood Vulture, go help Senior Hao Kai. Earlier, Qin Ming had already shown them what the Emperor Dragon Fist was. However, not only had Xiao Chen stopped in front of him, but his move, the unique and righteous, was also trying to send him flying. Qin Ming, who had landed on the ground, wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth and grinned. After 100 moves, Xiao Chen's fist smashed through the protective shield formed by the dragon might and landed on his chin. Break! It was obvious how terrifying of a force Xiao Chen had exerted in this instant. At this moment, Qin Ming finally experienced what it felt like to be suppressed by someone using an offensive technique similar to the Emperor Dragon Fist. Furthermore, it continued to shrink. It looked like it would completely restrict Xiao Chen's physical body and invade his flesh, blood, and soul. Xiao Chen showed a relaxed expression as he turned around and tossed the Yan imperial sword in his hand to the 9th Prince Wang Yan. When Xiao Chen punched, that unruly and unyielding aura burst out from his body. Xiao Chen's fist light destroyed an inferior-grade soul tool just like that. Qin Ming said coldly, "My target has been you, the dragon race rebel, Xiao Chen, from the start to the end." The instant the sword light appeared, the entire world turned dark. A horrifying aura spread out in all directions. The entire ancient Yan Emperor tomb felt this terrifying sword intent. Qin Ming seemed to have an irresolvable conflict with the Golden Dragon race. A purple light flashed, and Xiao Chen appeared directly in front of Qin Ming. Then, he threw a punch. Xiao Chen's fist light was like a torrential storm, raining down relentlessly on the old man's chest. However, Qin Ming lived up to his reputation. In the blink of an eye, he executed the strongest move of the Emperor Dragon Fist as well. Xiao Chen turned into a beam of light and stomped on Qin Ming at an unimaginable speed. When Qin Ming clashed with Xiao Chen's punch, he felt his arm go numb. The huge force transmitted over, shaking half of his body to the point where he couldn't move. Qin Ming's father was the current dragon race's purple gold dragon emperor. He contained some of the dragon emperor's might. Regular dragon race cultivators would find it hard to stand stably before him. Crack! Qin Ming frantically formed hand seals with both hands. Suddenly, black dragon images appeared in the sky and on the ground. Qin Ming was incredibly strong before Wang Yan and the heavenly book scholar. He was nearly completely suppressed. Qin Ming could not parry at all. He could not even bring out the might of the Emperor Dragon Fist. I possess the Emperor Dragon's might. How can this person push me back? Qin Ming could not retaliate at all. Shock appeared in Qin Ming's heart. He could not imagine how Xiao Chen's punch could be so horrifying. A dragon image came out of each of the two, roaring ferociously and glaring at Qin Ming. Qin Ming roared ferociously the instant Xiao Chen's force scattered. In reality, the Emperor Dragon Fist was such a cultivation technique. The stronger it was, the stronger it was. However, once it suffered a true setback, it would be very difficult to gather its might again, unable to bring out its true might. This was the pure Emperor's might from the purple gold dragon emperor. Any dragon race powerhouse would fear this dragon might. Boom! The feudal lords and various powerhouses in the palace who saw this scene were all startled into speechlessness. It was completely useless. No matter how Qin Ming struggled, he was defeated by this punch. He was defeated. No wonder this person showed disappointment in his eyes when he saw that the summoning was interrupted. The instant the cage formed, time and space seemed to freeze. An ancient restriction flickered in the dragon pillars. Emperor Dragon Fist, Sovereign Descent. 5 huge handprints immediately appeared on the ground. Qin Ming, who had soared into the air, sucked in a breath of cold air. Blood splattered in the air, accompanied by broken teeth. Blood leaked out of a corner of Qin Ming's lips as Xiao Chen forced him back a step. He revealed a doubtful expression in his eyes. The instant Qin Ming raised his head, he was about to capture Xiao Chen's figure when he discovered many fist images. 100 punches, 1,000 punches, 10,000 punches, all of them surged out in an instant. Crack! Ka-xie! Ka-xie! Xiao Chen shattered Qin Ming's protective battle armor. Suddenly, Wang Yan thought of the assassination attempt that Xiao Chen faced at Mirror Lake. The other party's cultivation was clearly the same as Wang Yan's. What was supreme? The Emperor Dragon's dragon might seem solid as it spread out from Qin Ming's body. That was the pure dragon might of a king. I'll take your life while you're down. Qin Ming continuously executed the supreme dragon fist. Be it his Dao domain, soul energy, cultivation technique, or mental state, he was weaker than Xiao Chen. Noisy. Qin Ming's expression changed slightly. Unexpectedly, the other party could easily deliver such a strike after receiving 2 punches. At the crucial moment, Xiao Chen could easily kill a great perfection sovereign emperor. A sword light also flew out of Qin Ming's medallion, and the dark world immediately lit up. The royal blue dragon bloodline flowed in Qin Ming's body. His name was written in the royal genealogy that had been passed down for countless epochs. Dragon images immediately filled the sky. One was golden, and the other was azure-colored. Boom! The berserk fist lights blasted Qin Ming, knocking him back and forth in the air like a broken kite. The black dragon images radiating heavy resentment crisscrossed as they flickered with light. A bright light immediately erupted from Qin Ming's forehead, and a sword light appeared. The 2 fists clashed, producing a deafening sound that shook the world. Once Qin Ming executed this move, he could force an expert like Wang Yan to not even have a chance to draw his sword. The two sword lights that inspired fear in peak sovereign emperors clashed in the air, clashing with each other. Then, they silently vanished. A colossal hand formed in the air. Lightning flickered in the palm, and saber light spread out. Boom! This is never-ending. Crack! Crack! The many powerhouses in the palace could clearly feel it through the huge light screen. Bang! I'll return a punch as well. Only I am supreme. As their strengths were equal, they cancelled each other out. Qin Ming truly lived up to being the dragon god crown prince. He had many trump cards. Xiao Chen felt somewhat tired of this. He activated his alloy battle armor and supported his 6th-layer Thunder Dao domain. Qin Ming roared, and the sovereign emperor's might from the divine dragon empire burst out of his body. Qin Ming went flying. The emperor dragon fist of the golden dragon bloodline lost to Xiao Chen again. Heavy murderous intent flashed in Qin Ming's eyes. This was a sword light that the purple gold dragon emperor left in his sea of consciousness. It equaled a strike from the purple gold dragon emperor. Xiao Chen. Before Qin Ming could reveal a smile, Xiao Chen took out the divine lightning talisman and broke this restriction with a wave of his hand. It turned out that Qin Ming's target had been Xiao Chen from the very start. Chapter 2297. Ah! Let go! Let go! At the same time, he felt even more shocked. Xiao Chen was still firmly suppressing the Silver Dragon King as he fought. The Silver Dragon King was incredibly frustrated, but he could not do anything to Xiao Chen. After all, the Dragon God Crown Prince was a Golden Dragon Race 3-Vein Sovereign Emperor. It would be somewhat difficult to crush the Dragon God Crown Prince's head with one stomp. Xiao Chen. I'll take your life. Xiao Chen snorted coldly as he unleashed his 4th-layer Ice Dao domain, stacking the 2 Dao domains. The more crucial thing was that this Xiao Chen had some fortuitous encounter, allowing him to erupt with such strength in such a short time. Boom! The Silver Dragon King wanted to take advantage of Xiao Chen's distraction to pull Qin Ming out. With the support of the alloy dragon armor, the Silver Dragon King's 6th-layer Thunder Dao domain already reached the 7th-layer Dao might. Don't be rash. Any reputable person in the Yanwu dynasty would see this scene. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor could not afford to lose face like this. Sikong Shu, who was dressed like a fisherman, appeared in the air. Under his conical bamboo hat, he looked coldly at Xiao Chen, who was fighting the Silver Dragon King. However, others could not even see that silver figure's appearance. This showed how fast he was. Whoosh! Sikong Shu's Dao Might sword, reaching the 8th layer. The aura that Qin Ming burst out with was even more horrifying than when he activated his Great Desolate Aeon bloodline. Caught off guard, Xiao Chen bore the brunt of the attack and got knocked back by a golden dragon image. However, he didn't expect to see such a situation after he arrived. Whoosh! The expected 9th Prince Wang Yan did not appear. Instead, the Dragon God Crown Prince Qin Ming was trampled on, unable to move. Sikong Shu's figure flashed, and he landed beside the Silver Dragon King. Then, he patted the Silver Dragon King's shoulder and said, "Believe in Qin Ming." Since he endured the humiliation until now and did not give up, he definitely has a way to escape. Ka! Bang! Bang! Is that so? How do you know that I am not doing it on purpose? I am already a traitor. Why would I care about the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's face? They were still neck and neck. There was no obvious sign of Xiao Chen's decline. While Xiao Chen looked calm and collected, in reality, he had already brought out his Thunder Dao domain without anyone realizing it. It should be the bridge of the nose. Xiao Chen did not hold back when he stepped on the Dragon God Crown Prince's face. Ah, but who knew that with this pull, Qin Ming, who was being stepped on by Xiao Chen, let out a blood-curdling scream like a pig being slaughtered. Qin Ming, who was trampled on the ground, slowly got up. Golden dragon scales appeared on his body, slowly covering his entire body. Whoosh! Hao Kai of the Golden Crow Empire was slightly startled. The Silver Dragon King also had such worries, not daring to bring out the peak strength of a six-veined sovereign emperor. A silver light flashed, and the Silver Dragon King revealed his true body and retreated. The moment they saw this scene, a flaw appeared in their mental states. Clearly, it was not suitable for them to continue fighting. Seeing that Xiao Chen was still trampling on Qin Ming, Hao Kai shouted angrily, "Xiao Chen, don't go overboard. He is Qin Ming, the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's favorite son. Now is the succession race. Don't be too ruthless. I know you did not mean it. Let go of Qin Ming, and everything can be discussed." Since Xiao Chen had the opportunity to trample on this person, he would naturally do so ruthlessly. Xiao Chen's 30-kilometer-long body was different from his previous dermic world. Now, Buddhist might covered his body, bringing out nearly all the Buddhist might of the Mahasvara Buddha's Sarira. Retreat. If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? Back then, what did I do wrong? The Golden Dragon bloodline chased me across most of the Divine Dragon Empire. Just because I practiced the Supreme Dragon Fist, I defeated the Emperor Dragon Fist in front of everyone? Sorry, I cannot accept this. Silver light flickered endlessly around Xiao Chen's body. Every time Xiao Chen sent out a palm strike, a berserk dragon roar rang out, stirring up mysterious phenomena. No one knew what Qin Ming was thinking at this moment. Tuo Baiyun, who was fighting Senior Feng, Xiao Hozun, and Bai Yunfei, who were fighting Hao Kai, were stunned when they saw this scene. However, Xiao Chen was in a slightly better state this time. When that gargantuan foot landed, Xiao Chen was trampled into a pile of mush. However, he was in a slightly better state this time. The instant that gargantuan foot landed, Xiao Chen was trampled into a pile of mush. Furthermore, with such a strong Xiao Chen, it was impossible not to re-evaluate the current situation. Xiao Chen's body immediately wobbled. In the next moment, he suddenly soared up. Xiao Chen did not show any fear. He turned his body to the side and sent out a palm strike. Instead, he instantly bound the Dragon God Crown Prince Qin Ming, who was under Xiao Chen's feet. Xiao Chen and the Silver Dragon King sensed that something was wrong and rushed over before the 13th prince. In a moment, the two exchanged more than 100 moves. The sound of something shattering came from the ground, sounding crisp and resonant. Qin Ming's broken nose should be a blessing in a misfortune. Xiao Chen did not express his emotions. However, that did not mean that Xiao Chen was a hypocrite, allowing this person to do whatever he wanted. At the thought of this, the Silver Dragon King could not help rejoicing, praising Xiao Chen in his heart. Fortunately, the Silver Dragon King did not succeed. Even so, Xiao Chen did not do anything. His spiritual sense already sensed a group of people with strong auras not far away. These people rushed over at lightning speed. Without needing to guess, it had to be the 13th prince's group. Qin Ming, who had just stood up and executed the Golden Dragon transformation art, revealed a trace of redness on his face. Sikong Shu was right. Qin Ming had endured humiliation for a long time. Indeed, he had been preparing in secret. Good. 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 Let Qin Ming use the Golden Dragon transformation art to defeat Xiao Chen. After this rebirth, he might be able to break through the shackles on the spot. Only then did everyone startle to their senses. It turned out that Qin Ming had been used as a sandbag, trampled under the Silver Dragon King's feet. The various powerhouses inside and outside the palace who saw this scene were all shocked as well. Since when did a three-veined sovereign emperor have such strength? The contrast was too great, everyone found it hard to accept. The instant Qin Ming stood up, killing qi surged from his entire body as he stared at Xiao Chen, who got knocked into the air. The Silver Dragon King gritted his teeth at Xiao Chen's shameless words. He could not help wanting to erupt again. This. Clearly, the Silver Dragon King knew about this. Outside the palace, Xiao Chen's expression did not change. His alloy dragon armor flickered with purple electric light, and dragon motifs dotted the armor. The alloy dragon armor sparkled, looking like a swimming dragon hiding in the lake, appearing indistinct. This thorn was buried in the Silver Dragon King's heart. The Silver Dragon Kings forcefully retreated and stood together. As they watched Xiaochen trample on Qin Ming, they did not dare to act rashly. This person's dragon might soar again. Silver light covered the sky for 5,000 kilometers around, making it look like a silver lake in the sky, boundlessly vast and majestic. Whoosh! This was the Dragon God Crown Prince, an outstanding talent that even a regular four-veined sovereign emperor could easily defeat. Boom! A silver light flashed in Xiaochen's eyes like a ghost, disappearing in a flash. Before the Silver Dragon King could react, the sky suddenly turned dark. In the next moment, a gigantic foot stomped on him. Just at this moment, a transparent fishing line streaked through the air. While Xiaochen fought the Silver Dragon King, this figure appeared silently. However, it did not attack Xiaochen. Everyone already guessed the identity of this silver figure. It had to be the Silver Dragon King, one of the two super experts by the 13th prince's side. A Buddhist swastika appeared on Xiaochen's forehead, radiating Buddhist might as he formed hand seals. He watched the Kasyapa Buddha cautiously execute the lost supreme magic skill of the Buddhist sects, Dharmic world. Right after Xiaochen spoke, a horrifying great desolate Aeon dragon might burst out from Qin Ming's body under Xiaochen's feet. As Xiaochen spoke, he increased his pressure on Qin Ming's foot, pressing down a few more times. Qin Ming could no longer endure the pain, squealing like a pig being slaughtered. This is not a bloodline awakening. This is the secret technique of the Golden Dragon bloodline, the dragon transformation art. Qin Ming fainted, his life or death unknown. The pride of the Golden Dragon bloodline absolutely cannot be profaned by you. Xiaochen, I will definitely kill you today. The sovereign emperors fought until the sky turned dark, nearly tearing down Black Wind Ridge. At the very least, Qin Ming's head was still there. There was one more thing that Xiaochen did not say. This fellow wanted to do something to Lu Riyue, even if he had to die. Even the Silver Dragon King could not do anything to him, unable to take him down quickly. Qin Ming's miserable shrieks forced Sikong Shu, who was secretly trying to save him, to take the initiative to let go of the fishing line. Right now, Sikong Shu did not dare to act rashly, as Xiaochen was stepping on Qin Ming. If he got careless, he could cause Qin Ming's death. Sikong Shu originally thought that the battle would end after one clash. Unexpectedly, the battle lasted for so long in the blink of an eye. Boom! A temporary calm appeared as both sides faced each other. Ice Dao Domain. Buddhist sect major magic skill, Dharmic world. How did Qin Ming lose in such a sorry state? Furthermore, his face was trampled on, rendering him immobile. Chapter 2298. Xiaochen let out a cold shout. His killing intent, which was 7 times stronger than before, suddenly condensed together. The 13th prince and company saw a blood-colored figure flash in front of them from 10,000 meters away. The tip of the flag seemed to be streaking across his eyes. It was cold and threatening, and the killing intent penetrated deep into his bones. This was the might of the legendary Scarlet Blood Pirate King, the Scarlet Blood Pirate King. When he was alive, he moved unhindered everywhere, becoming unrivaled for half his life. Even though he had already passed away, his once blood-stained demeanor was still immersed in time and space, lingering for a long time. After returning to the 9th Prince Wang Yan's side, he stood with Senior Feng, Hao Kai, and the others. What do you want? A flag fell from the sky. Xiaochen did not say a word. He silently condensed the Buddhist sect's 7-kill seal, and his killing intent immediately exploded 7-fold. Millions of li away, many princes sensed something. They all frowned, not understanding what was going on. But even so, Qin Ming was heavily injured and didn't have the strength to fight anymore. The 13th Prince Wang Yi's expression changed dramatically as he cursed in his heart. The strength of the 9th Prince's guests all gathered had completely frightened him. Compared to what he had expected, the difference was like the difference between heaven and earth. Xiaochen drew his Yen Imperial sword, and the sword light spread out. A dragon image of massacre swam around the sword. Xiaochen used the massacre Dao to activate the Yen Imperial sword in his hand. Thousands of cold stars gathered in his eyes, making him look like a grim reaper. Damn it! How could this be? One could only say that the dragon god crown prince had too many trump cards, after all. However, Xiaochen did not expect the dragon might that the dragon transformation art would bring out would be even more terrifying than activating his bloodline. Under the conical bamboo hat, Sikong Shu showed an unsightly expression. After he let go, he said, "The situation is not good." He managed to survive. However, he abused his secret technique and suffered a backlash. Hey, let's watch the purple gold dragon emperor. Perhaps the accumulations of the golden dragon bloodline can allow him to return to his peak. Wang Yan rejected coldly. Sorry, many of these dragon essence came from my guests risking their lives to obtain them. I can't just give it to you for free. Even if Qin Ming was heavily injured and lost the ability to fight. The moment this saber appeared, Sikong Shu and the other sovereign emperors forced back the killing moves that they were preparing to unleash. Unfortunately, in the end, he couldn't take advantage of this great danger. With the support of the 7-kill seal, he drew his mid-grade soul weapon, Heavenly Slayer, the moment Wang Yi finished speaking. Damn it! The murderous aura had already materialized. In the thick black clouds, one could even vaguely see the phantoms of various ancient divine beasts. Buddhist might spread out. After stomping Qin Ming into a pile of minced meat, Xiaochen's dermic world also dispersed. Damn it! 13th Prince, kill these people. The Silver Dragon King asked anxiously to Sikong Shu, who was checking on Qin Ming's injuries. Normally, Xiaochen could use the Tyrant Saber to deal with most of his enemies. Spiderweb-like cracks appeared, preventing the other party's aura from coalescing into a whole. Right at this moment, a strange scene suddenly appeared. It was accompanied by a wave of majestic, resonant, and solemn voice that seemed to have traveled through time and space. Whoosh! Wang Yan did not back down. He could not agree to the 13th Prince's request. Without a doubt, Wang Yan revealed joy on his face. With the dragon vein protecting him, it was equivalent to this land acknowledging him. He instantly held the geographical advantage. Wang Yi said after some thought, "It's very simple. Hand over half of your dragon essence to me and cut off all possibility of becoming the crown prince. Naturally, I will let you off." Earth drawing as dragon. When Xiaochen drew this saber with the 7-kill seal, scarlet lightning dyed half the sky red in an instant. Qin Ming, who was now a pile of minced meat on the ground, gave off a faint golden light as he slowly healed. Unless Xiaochen destroyed Qin Ming's divine seal and soul, he would not be able to kill Qin Ming in one strike. There was a silver dragon, a white marsh beast, a swanee, and a heavenly wolf, all terrifying divine beasts from the great desolate Aeon. All the sovereign emperors, including Sikong Shu, had to take a step back. With this thought, Xiaochen's figure flashed, taking the initiative to give up on Qin Ming's mangled body. However, he needed to draw Heavenly Slayer now. Wang Yan smiled coldly in his heart. So, that is the case. However, this is really laughable. Never mind. When the banner stabbed into the ground, the entire world trembled. When the banner fluttered, it looked like a scarlet ribbon dancing in the air. This peak 6-vein sovereign emperor from the Golden Crow Empire was Ao Jiao, enduring immense pressure. A warm feeling spread in everyone's heart, including the 9th Prince's people. Xiaochen, who was in the air, frowned slightly. He knew that he had lost the chance to land another strike. Qin Zhuolin casually waved his hand, and the surrounding terrain changed dramatically. A strand of the ancient dragon vein hidden in the terrain appeared, surrounding Wang Yan and the others. Originally, Wang Yan thought that the other party's strongest trump card was activating his great desolate Aeon bloodline. 9th brother, don't blame 13th brother for being ruthless. Back then, Xiaochen relied on this saber to kill the 4-vein sovereign emperor Qin Yu's physical body and soul at the same time. Once it erupted, Shaoqin did not dare imagine how horrifying it would be. Even peak sovereign emperors, who surpassed great perfection sovereign emperors, would have to retreat. Otherwise, only death awaited them. The strength of those carefully selected to help Shaoqin went without a doubt. Even Sikong Shu did not dare to underestimate them. Furthermore, these people had the most horrifying trump cards. They could all bring out their bloodlines. Aside from suffering from Shaoqian's stomp, they also suffered from the rebound of the secret art. At this moment, their souls fell into a deep sleep. Attack! With so many outstanding talents present, who dared to fight? A terrifying mysterious phenomenon appeared in the entire ancient Yan Emperor tomb. They had no choice but to retreat. When the 10-odd sovereign emperors' killing intent was forced out of their heads, the pressure on them immediately decreased. Heavenly Slayer. A tense atmosphere spread in Black Wind Ridge. The many sovereign emperors clashing gave off a terrifying aura. On the 9th prince's side, aside from Shaoqian, who appeared somewhat unfathomable, only the Golden Crow Empire's Hao Kai could be considered a sovereign emperor expert. Wang Yan showed a silent expression. Then, he stepped forward and looked straight at Wang Yi. 13th brother, this succession race has just begun. Aren't you in too much of a rush to kill me already? Wang Yan felt admiration for Wang Yan's decision from the bottom of his heart. Many times, one did not need to make the right decision, but one needed to be decisive. This was a peak medial grade soul tool forged from demonic tribulation lightning gold. The ancient thunder cliff tree was the handle, and the ancient thunder dragon's true soul was infused into it. The demonic tribulation lightning gold was a transcendent grade divine material born from Mo Juning's true god tribulation. It could only be found and not sought. Boom! The demonic tribulation lightning gold was ferocious and tyrannical, containing the heavenly Tao's killing intent. It was sharp and could trigger the demonic tribulation divine lightning, like a heavenly punishment. If the demonic tribulation lightning gold drove it at full power, it could cause the sky to crack, the sun and moon to dim, and stars to fall. Although it was a medial grade soul tool, its might was infinitely close to that of a superior grade soul tool. The instant the terrifying killing intent erupted from Wang Yan's body, the sevenfold saber intent tore the dense dark clouds in the sky into pieces. Since that was the case, Shaoqin might as well give it his all. The 13th prince still had the Silver Dragon King and Sikong Shu, two super experts. Aside from them, there were Tuo Baiyun, Sikong Shu, and 10-odd sovereign emperor outstanding talents. They all possessed great desolate Ian bloodlines and were elites selected from great perfection sovereign emperors. To the prideful Qin Ming, such an outcome was worse than death. Given this, even if the 13th prince defeated the other party, it would be a miserable victory. My name is Scarlet Blood. My body is scarlet iron, and my blood is scorching. For half my life, I drifted from place to place. For half my life, I was unrivaled, moving about without fear. My body is like a sword. The other person only needed to take advantage of this opportunity to snatch away Qin Ming's body. Everyone inside and outside the palace felt startled when they saw this scene on the light screen. The Silver Dragon King was enraged. Murderous intent flared in his eyes. Now that Qin Ming was already like this, he no longer had anything to fear. Whoosh! A golden flame appeared in Hao Kai's eyes. Pure solar true flame burst out of his body and burned fiercely. Even though Hao Kai knew that he would lose, he did not cower in fear. Instead, he gathered his wills and focused. It's Heavenly Slayer. Wang Yi shouted coldly, and the guests behind him immediately burst out with startling murderous intent. The murderous intent of the 15 sovereign emperors burst out in shock. Dark clouds instantly covered the sky, which was so clear that one could see the starry river. Even Shaoqin could not retreat when facing the might of the Scarlet Blood War Banner's inheritance head-on. Fight! The Silver Dragon King felt incredibly anxious. He snatched back Qin Ming's body in the time it took for a spark to fly, worry filling his face. How dare you! All Shaoqin needed was one more kick to end this. Between Shu and the Silver Dragon King, one of them would definitely hold him back. Xiao Suo, Wu Meng, and Qin Zhuolin also fell along with the banner. Boom! Shu, how is it? The 13th Prince Wang Yi did not care. He mocked, "Ninth brother, don't tell me that you don't understand the principle of the strong preying on the weak. Just be frank. I have an old grudge with you. Even if first brother or eighth brother became the crown prince of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, I would not worry too much. Only you, it is hard to guarantee that you will not take revenge. Although your chances of becoming the crown prince are slim, I still have to guard against you." Rage flashed in Wang Yi's eyes. Clearly, he had not expected the 9th prince's team to be so united. Once he brought out the heavenly Dao's killing intent, he would injure himself if he did not kill. Whoosh! At this moment, Qin Zhuolin was extremely weak. The body of a sovereign emperor had already transcended the mundane. Whoosh! Xiao Suo pulled out the Scarlet Blood War banner. Then, the Scarlet War banner suddenly unfurled and thrust its tip forward. This startled the Silver Dragon King. According to Shu, even if Qin Ming recovered from his injuries, he might not be able to return to his peak state. Chapter 2299. The others might be slightly inferior. However, Xiao Chen's Heavenly Slayer, Xiao Suo's Scarlet Blood War banner, the Golden Crow Empire's Hao Kai, and Qin Zhuolin drew out the dynasty's dragon vein. The 13th Prince's group had to take this seriously. Should they continue fighting or not? To the 9th Prince Wang Yan and the others, it would naturally be best if they could avoid fighting. On the whole, the difference in strength was very obvious. The number of guests on the other side was more than double that of their side. Moreover, they all possessed great desolate bloodlines. If their bloodlines were activated and they fought to the death, it was certain that their side would lose. However, the 13th Prince's side had to think about the consequences of forcefully fighting. They would definitely win this battle, but without a doubt, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. After this battle, aside from Shu and the Silver Dragon King, none of the other guests could guarantee a safe retreat. As for the 13th Prince, Wang Yi, he would be reduced from a popular candidate for the Crown Prince position to a supporting role with no hope of competing. In a flash, Wang Yi thought of all kinds of possibilities, and his face became frighteningly gloomy. He had never thought that he would fall into such a dilemma. After the 9th Prince's guests displayed their strength, the people inside and outside the palace felt that this battle would not happen. However, the problem now was that Xiao Chen trampled on Qin Ming, ruthlessly trampled on him. The 13th Prince would find it hard to accept retreating like this. It was a simple sentence, but there was no suitable way for him to leave with dignity. Just think about it. A group of people came over aggressively and then left with their tails between their legs. How funny was that? 13th brother, do you think there's a need to continue fighting? Wang Yan said when he saw the 13th Prince's expression. He knew what the 13th Prince was thinking. Wang Yi said coldly, "I can withdraw, but you must pay for injuring my guest. Otherwise, even if I have to fight to the death today, I will not withdraw. I'm afraid you have no choice but to retreat." Wang Yan said calmly. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Yi looked around, and his expression changed slightly. In just a short period of time, many princes had secretly rushed over, watching the tigers fight from the sidelines. It made sense. The battle between Xiao Chen and Qin Ming had already alarmed all directions. The other princes thought that it was the birth of some incredible treasure. At this moment, so many sovereign emperors were gathered in this startling confrontation. It would be hard for anyone not to notice such a phenomenon. Shu closed his eyes for a while before opening them again. 13th Prince, we need to go. Otherwise, it will be very troublesome. I'll settle this score with you later. At this point, even if Wang Yi was unwilling, he had to leave dejectedly. Xiao Chen was not foolish enough to start a huge battle with Wang Yan while the other princes watched. So. The 13th Prince's group withdrew their auras and quickly left. It looked somewhat comical and inconceivable. However, in reality, the moment Shao Qin drew Heavenly Slayer, this battle was destined to never happen. When Xiao Sua charged over with the Scarlet Blood War banner, he destroyed Wang Yi's final hope. After this group of people left, a trace of blood leaked out from the corner of Shao Chen's mouth. His face had lost a lot of color. What happened? Wang Yan hurriedly stepped forward and asked. It's because of that saber, right? Hao Kai asked after glancing at Shao Qin sheathing Heavenly Slayer. Then, he raised his eyebrows slightly. Shao Qin did not deny it, not saying anything more. The reason went without saying. When Heavenly Slayer was drawn, it would trigger the Heavenly Dao's killing intent. If one did not kill, one would end up harming oneself. However, this result was what Shao Qin sought, so he had no complaints. If Shao Qin truly decided to fight, he would definitely use the Tyrant Saber. He would only draw Heavenly Slayer after he was certain that he could kill the other party. Shao Qin drew Heavenly Slayer to dissuade the other party. If a huge battle really broke out, Shao Qin would not fear it. However, the fate of Wang Yan and the others would be hard to predict. The other party had Sikong Shu and the Silver Dragon King, as well as a group of outstanding talents with great Desolate Ian bloodlines. In the end, they were much stronger than the 9th prince. It's fine. This is a troublesome place. Let's quickly leave. Shao Qin looked around. There were at least 8 princes hiding in the dark, with some experts among them. Wang Yan looked around and nodded. Come, let's go deeper into Black Wind Ridge. With a thought, Shao Qin quickly understood Wang Yan's intention. With the reputation of the Black Wind Ridge, they could completely avoid the trouble at the back if they walked further in. By the time Wang Yan's group was far away, Shao Qin had already arrived. What a pity. I didn't make a move. The 8th Prince Wang Feng shook his head and stepped forward with a regretful expression. The Divine Sword Pavilion's Dao Yan, the Profound Heaven's Holy Son Wenrenyu, Mu Yunzhu, and Gu Yuhan were all disappointed as well. If a great battle could really happen, just thinking about it was incomparably wonderful. The 9th Prince would definitely be defeated, and the 13th Prince would no longer have the right to fight for the title of Crown Prince. The 13th Prince could only rely on the 9th Prince to obtain the greatest benefits. But 9th Brother's strength has really exceeded my expectations. Senior Dao Xian, this time I am unable to help you kill Shao Chen, I am sorry. Wang Feng retracted his gaze and said apologetically. The murderous intent in Dao Yan's eyes vanished. He smiled and said, Your Highness, what are you saying? In my heart, nothing is more important than Your Highness becoming the Crown Prince. Personal grudges are nothing. Wang Feng felt satisfied with Dao Yan's respect. He nodded slightly and looked at the Profound Heaven's Holy Son, who carried a zither on his back. Brother Wenren, what do you think? Ha! You are the main characters in this succession race. We will follow the 8th Prince's instructions. Wenren came only for the ethereal immortal palace and did not care about anything else. Wang Feng knew what Wenren was thinking, but he did not expose him. It was fine as long as he could help Wenren for now. Just as Wang Feng was about to leave, he glanced around and saw a group of people walking over. The one leading the group was the low-profile 6th Prince Wang Ming. This person was even more low-profile than the 9th Prince Wang Yan, which Wang Feng found somewhat unfathomable. Greetings, 6th brother. Wang Feng performed a cup-fist salute, showing a respectful elder brother as he greeted softly. Holy Son, that is Yan Sangming, he is from the Underworld God Hall. We fought with him in the final blood battlefield. His death Dao domain is very terrifying. Mu Yunzhu's expression changed slightly when he saw Jin Yuan and Yan Sangming behind Wang Ming. There is no need to care about him. As Mu Yunzhu and Mu Yunzhu communicated, Wenren Yu's gaze happened to meet Yan Sangming's. The two smiled faintly as if that life-and-death battle had never happened. Wang Ming nodded faintly and said softly, 8th brother, have you ever thought that 9th brother's target is Black Wind Ridge, the Forbidden Land? Oh. Wang Feng felt slightly stunned. What do you mean? Could it be that ninth brother did not choose to go further away to avoid us? Ha! Who knows? Since it is a forbidden land, there must be something incredible. Perhaps it will be of help to him in the second round. Otherwise, 13th brother would not charge over. He must have discovered something. Wang Ming smiled faintly. Although he said that, he did not lead the group into Black Wind Ridge. After saying goodbye to Wang Feng and the others, Wang Ming led the group of Abyssal Underworld sovereign emperors away. This fellow is really scheming. He already left, and he still wants to lure me into Black Wind Ridge to clash with ninth brother, Wang Feng said with some disgust. After that person left, Wang Feng's expression changed, and he spoke with some disgust. Wang Feng looked at the depths of the Black Wind Ridge and frowned. He thought to himself, could there really be something going on? Your Highness, the sixth prince's people are somewhat strange. As Dao Yan watched the other group leave, he said with a somewhat grave expression, if I guessed right, they should be the people of the Abyssal Underworld. The sixth prince is taking an unorthodox path. If he does not succeed, he will die trying. If the sixth prince did not become the crown prince, the imperial ancestral temple would definitely pursue the matter. Wang Feng recovered his wits and said somewhat angrily, all of them normally hide so deeply, only to reveal themselves in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. They are all not good people. When Wenren Yu's group heard this, they smiled to themselves. You're a hypocrite, a two-faced person. I'm afraid you're not a good person either. One could only say that the truly ambitious princes were not people to offend. The princes who had been hiding in the dark kept showing themselves one after another. If the 13th prince were still here, he would definitely rejoice that he did not make a move. Otherwise, there would be nothing left. However, no prince chose to enter Black Wind Ridge in the end. The confrontation between the 9th prince and the 13th prince came to an end. This farce made the 13th prince feel dejected, and he suffered a huge loss. This also showed the 9th prince's strength and accumulations, piquing their interest in him. After the farce ended, the first round of the succession race slowly came to an end. Half of the 40-odd princes would be eliminated, forced out of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb along with their guests. Chapter 2300. In the depths of Black Wind Ridge. Sinister winds blew in all directions and demonic clouds surged. Everyone felt that something was wrong and couldn't proceed any further. This place is giving me an ominous feeling. I can't go any further. Geomaster Qin Ming said as he looked into the depths of Black Wind Ridge, where the sinister wind grew increasingly denser and the strange atmosphere. Whoosh! The Golden Crow Empire's Hao Kai rushed over from behind. He looked at Wang Yan and said, Your Highness, as you expected, no one followed us. Wang Yan heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that. Now that he was completely sure that they were safe, he said softly, Everyone, let's rest for a while. Those who are injured should rest more. Speaking of injuries, Wang Yan and the Heavenly Book Scholar were the most severely injured. The only one left was Xiao Chen. The others were fine. The three of them took out medicinal pills and swallowed them, then sat down cross-legged and closed their eyes to heal. The others stood guard around them while observing their surroundings. Black Wind Ridge. Elder Feng, why is this place called a forbidden area? Qin Zhuolin seemed to be very interested in this place's origin, so he asked Senior Feng, who understood this place the most. Senior Feng said after some thought, I heard that this place is also an inheritance. In the history of the Yanwu dynasty, a tyrant was buried here. However, almost none of the people who entered the core returned alive. As more people died, it gradually became a forbidden area. Very few people went to explore it, and it has always been a mystery. When Xiao Sua saw that Qin Zhuolin seemed to be interested in this place, he frowned and said, There seems to be great danger hidden in the deepest part of this place. It is similar to some of the taboos I ran into in the sea. It's mysterious, evil, and frightening. It's best not to casually touch it. Qin Zhuolin smiled faintly and said, Don't worry. I am just somewhat curious about where the depths of Black Wind Ridge lead to. I will not really put myself in danger. As the group chatted idly, Wu Meng remained silent, guarding Xiao Chen and keeping a wary eye on the surroundings. After a while, joy appeared on Wu Meng's face. Xiao Chen, you're awake. The others immediately stopped chatting and looked over. Feeling everyone's concern, Xiao Chen smiled and said, I'm awake. I did not suffer any heavy injuries. I only suffered from the backlash of the soul weapon. He just needed to meditate for a while. However, he would not be able to use Heavenly Slayer for the time being. By the way, how much dragon essence have you collected? Hee hee. I have collected quite a lot. Qin Zhuolin laughed and took out his jade strip. The resplendent jade strip seemed to contain clear spring water, heavy and translucent. There were 4 dragon silhouettes swimming around the jade slip, flying up and down. The moment this jade slip appeared, a series of exclamations immediately rang out. Both Senior Feng and Hao Kai's eyes lit up. Your harvest is truly astonishing. Hao Kai and I only managed to gather 2 dragon images each. However, you managed to gather 4 dragon images by yourself. Elder Feng could not help but exclaim. Now that there were 2 dragon shadows, the difficulty of condensing 3 dragon shadows had doubled. Someone like Qin Zhuolin, gathering 4 dragon images in 1 jade strip, was truly incredible. A jade slip with 4 dragon images was comparable to 10 jade slips with 1 dragon image. This was the difference. Qin Zhuolin smiled and said, fortunately, this is the result of the 3 of us working together. Just at this moment, Wang Yan and the Heavenly Book Scholar opened their eyes. Senior Feng said quickly, His Highness is awake. Everyone, let's transfer the dragon essence to the 9th prince. 4 dragon images. When Wang Yan saw Qin Zhuolin's jade strip, he felt slightly stunned. Then, he smiled and said, You really gave me a pleasant surprise. Originally, I already had enough dragon essence. Now, my dragon essence will rank within the top 10 among the princes. After the others transferred their dragon essence to Wang Yan, the dragon essence around the Yan Imperial sword in his hand grew to 63 meters. Hold on to this. Don't use it for now. Xiao Chen stepped forward and handed his jade strip to the other party. However, Wang Yan's jade strip was indeed wrapped in a silk pouch. He could not see how many dragon images it contained. This is... Wang Yan put away the jade strip, feeling somewhat confused. Then, he looked at Xiao Chen in confusion. It's fine. Given the dragon essence in your Yan Imperial sword, you will definitely clear the first round. You should keep this dragon essence of mine. It might be useful later. If I guessed right, you should not have any more chances to collect dragon essence in the next 2 rounds. Xiao Chen did not say anything more. He only told Wang Yan not to use his dragon essence for now. Alright. Many thanks. The others were also curious about how much dragon essence Xiao Chen collected. However, since Xiao Chen did not say, no one asked. 9th Prince, what is the content of the second round? Qin Zhuolin asked. There was not much time left in the 30 days. The first round would end soon. The others were curious about Qin Zhuolin's words. Wang Yan replied after some thought, after the first round ends, 8 altars will appear in the core of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. The altars lead to the Yan Imperial sword, and their purpose is to allow the princes to refine their Yan Imperial swords, allowing the prince's Dao to truly merge with the dynasty's dragon veins. Each altar can be used only once. After the second round, only 8 people will be able to compete for the crown prince position. After some thought, Xiao Chen said, the refinement process will not be easy, right? Wang Yan nodded. During the refinement process, aside from the princes undergoing a test from heaven, the altars will also suffer attacks from ferocious beasts. Normally, there will be at least 9 waves of ferocious beasts. Aside from that, the other princes and guests will interfere. Once they fail, they will be chased off the altar. In the second round, there would be no need to preserve strength. There would be no room for compromise. If two princes had their eyes on the same altar, it would be a battle to the death. Xiaochen asked, "Can you tell me in detail what ferocious beasts we will meet?" Wang Yan pondered for a while before replying, "I can't say for sure. The specifics have to do with the various princes' great Dao. I cultivate the massacre Dao. The ferocious beasts we meet might be harder to deal with than the other princes. That is to say, we will meet ferocious beasts with even more murderous intent. If the other princes cultivate the ice great Dao, they will run into ice-attributed ferocious beasts." Xiaochen confirmed with Wang Yan based on his understanding. "You could say that." Hao Kai said after some thought, "Since it is a ferocious beast wave, then we will have to prepare some large-scale killing moves. We have to prepare them in advance. Those who are good at large-scale killing moves will focus on dealing with the ferocious beast wave. The remaining people will have to protect His Highness from the other prince's guests." The group discussed how to deal with the ferocious beast wave in the second round, expressing their opinions. However, they were somewhat insufficient. The ninth prince only had 7 guests left. His disadvantage in numbers would become apparent in the second round. Huh. Just at this moment, Xiaochen frowned slightly as he looked into the depths of Black Wind Ridge. There, sinister winds and death chi filled the pitch-black darkness, giving off all sorts of mysteries. However, Xiaochen did not know whether it was a misperception or reality, but he vaguely heard a voice calling out to him. Just as Xiaochen felt uncertain, that voice appeared in his heart again. When he tried to grasp it seriously, it disappeared in a flash, and he could no longer find it. Strange, feeling suspicious, Xiaochen looked at the others and asked, "Did you all hear that voice?" "No." "Xiaochen, don't scare us. This place is strange enough in the first place. You can't be thinking of going in, right?" Everyone was startled. Aside from the sinister winds and evil chi, they did not hear any other voice. "I'll go and take a look. Wait for me here. Don't follow me. If you can't wait for me, then leave on your own." Whoosh! After speaking, Xiaochen's figure flashed before anyone could say anything, entering the sinister winds and vanishing from sight. This, Wang Yan and the others felt somewhat confused by Xiaochen's decision. "Let's wait for him. Don't act rashly for now." Wang Yan appeared somewhat helpless, but he did not overthink it. However, he was somewhat worried about Xiaochen's safety. After all, Black Wind Ridge was infamous. They already felt fear when they ventured deeper, not daring to advance any further. Strange. It doesn't seem as threatening as the rumors say. As Xiaochen dodged the nearly solid sinister winds, he did not run into much danger as he traveled. The sinister winds were strangely cold. If one got careless and got caught, one's soul would be damaged. However, if that was all, Black Wind Ridge would not live up to its reputation as a forbidden land. At the very least, while the sinister winds were not easy to deal with, they did not pose much trouble for Xiaochen. Most importantly, a voice kept appearing intermittently, guiding Xiaochen in the right direction. As a result, he did not get lost in this forbidden land where the sinister winds blew and spiritual sense was limited. Just at this moment, an incredibly vast pit suddenly appeared in front of Xiaochen. The pit was empty, devoid of anything. However, just the pit alone sent a chill down one's spine. There should be something ominous in the pit. Xiaochen frowned slightly and prepared to enter the pit. Just as he was about to enter the pit, the soil in the center of the pit suddenly split open, and a strange face appeared, opening its eyes. Chu Chaoyun. Chapter 2301. A human face emerged from the strange pit. It was the Chu Chaoyun that Xiaochen recognized. Just as Xiaochen felt uncertain, Chu Chaoyun broke out of the pit and flew towards him. Whoosh! Xiaochen gently pushed off with his feet and took a step back. Then, he looked at the dirt-covered Chu Chaoyun and sized him up. Feeling it strange, he asked, "Who chased you so badly that you even used the move of hiding in a pile of corpses?" Without a doubt, the person before Xiaochen was Chu Chaoyun. If it were not Chu Chaoyun, there was no way to explain who guided Xiaochen to this place. Then, Xiaochen looked at Chu Chaoyun's state. Clearly, he had sustained significant injuries and had not recovered yet. Xiaochen concluded that Chu Chaoyun had fought with someone and suffered significant injuries. Then, he hid here. Perhaps by chance, Chu Chaoyun obtained the inheritance of this place and discovered Xiaochen. Xiaochen felt that his guess was close to the mark. Chu Chaoyun did not deny anything. After some thought, he said, I called you here to tell you about this. Be careful of one person. Who? The Xuewu dynasty's first prince, Shi. Xiaochen raised his eyebrows and asked softly, You mean the black-clad half-masked man beside the first prince? Yes. I have been investigating him for a long time on orders from the Universe Origin sect. Previously, I found some clues in the abyssal underworld. The situation is not good. What do you mean? Chu Chaoyun closed his eyes. After thinking for a while, he opened them and said, You should know about the great war between the righteous and demonic factions 100,000 years ago. The Black Dragon King united the 9 layers of the abyssal underworld, breaking the world tree and destroying the deity world. From then on, there were no more true gods. I know about this. All the cultivators of the Great Thousand Realms should know about this as well. Then, what are you trying to say? Xiaochen revealed a confused expression. He had heard this many times and knew about it many years ago. In that battle, many deities fell, the heaven-bridging peak shattered, and the world tree snapped. The martial epoch actually ended. However, because of one person, he defeated the Black Dragon King and sealed it, forcefully saving us from the calamity, allowing the martial epoch to continue. Xiaochen did not deny it. He knew that Chu Chaoyun was referring to the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor, who had already defeated the Black Dragon King with the Wings of Time, a transcendent grade soul tool. Without interrupting him, Xiaochen signaled Chu Chaoyun to continue. But that's not what I want to say. What I want to say is actually related to you. Something to do with me. Xiaochen frowned slightly. What was Chu Chaoyun trying to say? The great war between the righteous path and the demonic path resulted in the fall of all the eternal true gods. From then on, no one in the world could live forever, surpass reincarnation, and become independent of the world. Anyone with ambition can guess that the martial epoch will end. They all want to start a new epoch and become the new epoch master. The epoch master. Xiaochen felt slightly stunned. This was nothing new. The dragon spirit of the Blue Dragon Palace had said that to Xiaochen as well. It wanted Xiaochen to restore the glory of the Blue Dragon bloodline, establish the Divine Dragon dynasty, and start a new epoch. Simply put, that dragon spirit wanted Xiaochen to end the martial epoch and lead the Blue Dragon bloodline to rule the new epoch, making him the new epoch master. Perhaps you do not understand. Let me explain it this way. You can think of the martial epoch as a dynasty. After the great war between the righteous path and the demonic path, this dynasty was on the verge of collapse. The feudal lords all wanted to change dynasties. Chu Chaoyun said after some thought, after that, 50,000 years ago, your Blue Dragon bloodline's Dragon Emperor Xiaoyun finally could no longer hold back. Dragon Emperor Xiaoyun. Xiaochen's heart skipped a beat. He looked at the other party with some shock and said, This is a shocking secret. Even if you are the Universe Origin sect's Tao disciple, logically speaking, you might not know all this. Chu Chaoyun smiled faintly. After some thought, he said, Don't worry about how I know for now. How much do you know about this Dragon Emperor Xiaoyun? I only know that after his ambition swelled, someone defeated him. Then, the Blue Dragon bloodline was destroyed, and the Golden Dragon race took over. Xiaochen gave a half-truth and half-lie. He felt some anticipation for what Chu Chaoyun could tell him. Indeed, Xiaochen knew very little about Dragon Emperor Xiaoyun. Even the dragon spirit had not told him in detail. At that time, aside from being the dragon race's Dragon Emperor, he had another identity, the demonic Tao Palace's Palace Master, Chu Chaoyun said unhurriedly, shocking Xiaochen. Xiaochen smiled embarrassedly and said, Speak. I'm listening. Let's see what else you can say. That is not important. What is important is that he nearly won back then. Unfortunately, he still lost to that person. Now that so many years have passed, no one has the courage and strength that Dragon Emperor Xiaoyun had back then, able to topple this tottering dynasty and start a new epoch. Chu Chaoyun continued, however, it is different now. The foe god experts of the various super factions feel an increasing sense of threat and urgency. Although they do not know the exact reason, they are not surprised, as the epoch changes and cycles endlessly. The peak experts of the old epoch will be wiped out along with the old epoch sooner or later, just like the martial gods in the past. It is very close. This time, whether they are willing or not, the various super factions will have to make a choice. When the calamity descends, no one can avoid it. The person who defeated Dragon Emperor Xiaoyun can only watch it happen helplessly. Xiao Qin narrowed his eyes. After some thought, he said, I roughly understand why you know these secrets. Why? Chu Chaoyun looked at Xiao Qin with interest. Because the Universe Origin sect is ambitious as well. They placed their hopes on you, hoping that you will become the epoch master and start a new epoch, protecting the Universe Origin sect's interests in the new epoch. As for why you investigated Shi, it must be because he is the hope of the demonic Dao Hall. Xiao Qin explained his guess unhurriedly. Now, he more or less understood that this succession race of the Yanwu dynasty gathered all the people qualified to become the epoch master. Chu Chaoyun smiled faintly and said, you can say that. Do you want to know who the person who defeated Dragon Emperor Xiaoyun is? There's no need. I can guess that he is the epoch master of the martial epoch. That is the Holy Lord, who currently controls the foe god world. In reality, the 5 righteous Dao super factions are his pawns. However, the situation is already set. The martial epoch will be destroyed. These pawns will no longer be willing to be manipulated by him. Xiao Qin said calmly, given that, the 5 super factions are actually responsible for the destruction of the Blue Dragon bloodline back then. Hence, the 5 super factions work together to make the matter of Dragon Emperor Xiaoyun a taboo. Shock flashed in Chu Chaoyun's eyes. Unexpectedly, Xiao Qin managed to connect the dots so quickly. It looked like Chu Chaoyun had somewhat underestimated Xiao Qin. Perhaps Xiao Qin knew many secrets that Chu Chaoyun did not. So, you came to look for me now to work with me to deal with Shi? Chu Chaoyun nodded. This person is too strong. The scarier thing is that he formed an alliance with the abyssal underworld. With the strong working together, I cannot think of anyone who can resist him. With the appearance of the ethereal immortal palace, the wings of time will probably be his. In this vast ancient Yan Emperor tomb, you are the only one who can trust me and earn my trust. If it were in the past, when Chu Chaoyun said this, Xiao Qin would have agreed without hesitation. However, things seemed different now. If Chu Chaoyun really wanted to start a new epoch, the two of them would have to fight. Epochs came and went in an endless cycle. The martial epoch was coming to an end. Fate carried a boundless momentum. These people looked like the children of heaven, like the blazing sun. However, in reality, they had no choice in this surging tide. They could only make their own decisions. As Xiao Qin remained silent, the atmosphere between the two turned somewhat strange. Let's not talk about the distant, let's talk about the near. If the ethereal immortal palace appeared and she was defeated, would Chu Chaoyun give the wings of time to him? How did you get here? Suddenly, Xiao Qin looked up at Chu Chaoyun and asked an unrelated question. Me? I came alone, not with any prince. I roughly understand what you are thinking. Business is business. In that case, let's not talk about friendship, just benefits. If you agree, I will lend you a hand. This place is a copy of a certain tyrant of the Yanwu dynasty. Before he died, he killed more than 1 million cultivators and turned them into Yin soldiers to be buried with him. After some thought, Chu Chaoyun said, if you agree, I will give you the commander's tally and let you control these 1 million Yin soldiers to help the 9th prince clear the second round. Right after Chu Chaoyun spoke, a black metal medallion floated out of Chu Chaoyun's palm. The black medallion had a great desolate and ferocious beast carved on it, looking like it was alive. A scarlet light as thick as ink wrapped around the medallion, making it look even stranger. Xiao Qin shifted his gaze from the medallion to Chu Chaoyun's face. Then, he revealed a meaningful light in his eyes. Xiao Qin avoided the many experts of the Imperial Ancestral Temple and entered the ancient Yan Emperor tomb without a prince. How did Chu Chaoyun do it? How about it? Deal. Xiao Qin stretched out his hand and grasped the tyrant's commander's tally. Then, he turned and left. Chapter 2302. Deal. Xiao Qin held the tyrant emperor commander's tally in his hand and turned to leave. Sinister winds blew endlessly in the depths of Black Wind Ridge, and a baleful aura pressed down. Resentment surged into the sky in the pit, condensing into lingering sin in the air. As Chu Chaoyun watched Xiao Chen's figure slowly disappear into the sinister winds, his expression turned somewhat complicated. Helplessness and disappointment appeared in Chu Chaoyun's eyes. Helplessness. The cycle of epochs came and went. Amid the overwhelming changes, there were startling fortuitous encounters that came only once every several million years. Who could remain unscathed? The weak could do nothing but drown in the torrent. Those with ambition would be like the blazing sun, doing their best to fight. Regardless of whether they were willing or not, they would be dragged forward by the overwhelming momentum. This was helplessness. Anyone would feel some helplessness. However, what was the disappointment? Chu Chaoyun could not figure it out, unable to put it into words. Suddenly, Xiao Qin turned around. Just one step away from entering the boundless sinister winds, Xiao Qin stopped. Without any warning, without any trace, Xiao Qin suddenly drew his tyrant saber. The saber light was like the blazing sun, resplendent and dazzling. Then, it burned fiercely, looking like the blazing sun illuminating the sky. Chu Chaoyun frowned slightly, as he sensed some rage in this saber light. Immediately, he found it strange. Where did Xiao Chen's rage come from? Boom! Just as Xiao Chen felt confused, the saber intent on Xiao Chen's body soared wildly. Soon, it reached the peak of his saber domain. Then, it quickly broke through the shackles and rose again. Then, he swung his saber at the boundless sinister winds before him. In that instant, a strong wind blew. The saber light instantly scattered the sinister winds for 50,000 kilometers around, making everyone's eyes light up. Suddenly, they felt that this place was boundlessly vast, with nothing in sight. He broke through. Chu Chaoyun could clearly sense that Xiao Chen's saber Dao domain had broken through from the second layer to the third layer. Compared to the elemental great Daos of wind, thunder, fire, and earth, the great Daos of saber and sword were much harder to improve. This was especially so for Xiao Chen. Since he was proficient in 3 Dao domains, the difficulty was even higher. However, at this moment, Xiao Chen drew his saber in rage, instantly breaking through the shackles of his Dao domain by one layer. The chilly wind dissipated, and Xiao Chen's blurry figure appeared clearly in front of Chu Chaoyun. He held the saber and stood there, using one saber to scatter the cold wind that had been circling here for 10,000 years. It was difficult for ordinary people to know how terrifying this saber strike was. However, Chu Chaoyun, who broke through the inheritance, was very clear on this. More importantly, the saber intent completely shattered the baleful Yin energy. Kacha! Sheathing his saber, Xiao Chen disappeared from Chu Chaoyun's sight with a few leaps. Suddenly, Chu Chaoyun's expression turned solemn, as if he had understood something. However, he still chose to use the saber in his hand to forcefully carve out a path for himself. Can one choose one's fate in their own hands? Chu Chaoyun asked somewhat self-deprecatingly. Then, he left, vanishing from Black Wind Ridge, where the baleful Yin energy no longer existed. Whoosh! 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 On the way back, Xiao Chen ran into the 9th Prince's group, which he was familiar with. Wu Meng, the heavenly book scholar, Hao Kai, and the others were there. When they saw Xiao Chen, they heaved a sigh of relief. Xiao Chen, what happened? We sensed that you ran into trouble earlier. The ninth Prince Wang Yan asked after sizing up Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's expression did not change. It's dealt with for now. I already obtained the inheritance of this place. Everyone felt that something had changed with Xiao Chen. However, since he did not say anything, they naturally did not pursue the matter. On the other hand, the heavenly book scholar's eyes lit up. He said joyfully, I more or less understand the inheritance of this place. I want to change the way we play the second round of the succession race. In the ninth prince's team, the heavenly book scholar basically played the role of a strategist. Wang Yan relied on the heavenly book scholar's suggestions and Senior Feng's experience for many of the plans and countermeasures. What do you mean? Wang Yan looked at the heavenly book scholar, waiting for his analysis. After some thought, the heavenly book scholar said, in the second round, we need to protect His Highness and not be disturbed during the refinement. We also need to split some people to deal with the ferocious beast waves. Furthermore, we need to preserve our strongest combat power to fight the guests of the other princes. We simply do not have enough manpower. That was right. Right now, the ninth prince only had 7 guests. Compared to the other princes, the ninth prince was at a great disadvantage in the second round. My original plan was to work with the other princes to attack the princes occupying the altars and muddy the waters. While preserving our strength, we could continuously disrupt the situation and reduce the number of guests of the other princes. Only by doing so would we have a chance of surviving the second round. This plan is too risky. It is easy for the other princes to work together to suppress us. If we are not careful, we might fail. However, there is no need for that now. We will take the initiative and occupy the altars. Then, we will wait for the other princes to attack. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows, and a commander's tally wrapped in a viscous scarlet light appeared in his palm. He looked at the heavenly book scholar and said, it looks like you understand this commander's tally very well. The commander's tally of the dead that can summon 1 million Yin soldiers. Senior Feng was greatly startled. Clearly, he had not expected this rumored treasure to actually exist. Wang Yan sighed softly, I read about this ancestor in the royal court's secret records. His character was tyrannical and his means were cruel. He was a tyrant through and through. During his 100 years on the throne, he suffered the wrath of heaven. However, before he died, he killed 1 million imperial guards to accompany him in death. The heavenly book scholar said softly, there is no need to care about that for now. Every time this tyrant's tally is used, it can summon 100,000 Yin soldiers. It can be used at least 10 times, easily dealing with the ferocious beast waves. Given that, we only need to focus on protecting His Highness. After discussing for a while, everyone felt that this plan was feasible. Although it was somewhat radical, it was worth a try. 2 days later, the first round of the succession race officially ended. Whether they were willing or not, the princes and their guests who did not collect enough dragon essence were forcefully sent out. Whoosh! 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 Several figures appeared out of nowhere in the palace's drill ground. Half of the princes were eliminated at the same time. The princes and guests showed different expressions. Some of the guests gained a lot and felt satisfied, showing joy on their faces. In the first place, these princes did not expect their princes to clear the first round. The harvest in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb was the key. The unlucky ones hung their heads dispirited, showing unhappy expressions. Clearly, they did not gain anything. There were also some princes who showed expressions of pity. They felt that if they had been slightly luckier, they would have definitely cleared the first round. He would definitely be able to get through the first round. He was unwilling, but there was nothing he could do. The various powerhouses in the treasure hall in the clouds discussed the many eliminated princes. Many of the princes that they thought would be eliminated stayed, much to their surprise. This is really surprising. The 9th prince's dragon essence actually ranks within the top 10. Previously, I could not tell that he had such potential. There is nothing much to say. Since he could force the 13th prince to leave helplessly, we can guess the result. As for the 4th prince, everyone mocked him for only hunting ferocious beasts and not seeking inheritances. To think that he managed to clear this round. There is also the 6th prince Wang Ming. His guests are very incredible as well. The 1st prince is indeed the strongest. No one can shake his position. The first round of the succession race was a test of the waters. The true strength of the princes would be revealed, and in the second round, it would be completely unleashed. With only 8 spots, the competition would be even more intense. In the Misty Rain Pavilion's group, Mo Chen, Su Yi, and Ao Jiao showed anxious and excited expressions. He passed the first round, but it is hard to say for the second round, Su Yi said somewhat worriedly. The 9th prince's accumulations were very weak. Originally, he did not have any intention of competing. After listening to Xiao Chen's words, the 9th prince came to his senses and decided to fight for the crown prince position. Now, the 9th prince only had 7 guests left. He did not have an advantage over the other princes. Mo Chen and Ao Jiao did not place much importance on the succession race. The two cared more about Xiao Chen's survival. It was fine as long as he was safe. Uncle Hao Kai, I'll leave it to you. Ao Jiao stared at the flickering light screen on the drill ground, not hiding her selfish motives. She recruited Hao Kai into the 9th prince's team for only one purpose, to have him protect Xiao Chen at the crucial moment. Ancient Yan Emperor Tomb, the 9th prince's group, which cultivated in Black Wind Ridge, and a demon blood vulture roaming in the air, prepared to depart. Wang Yan looked into the distance. That was the core region of the ancient Yan Emperor Tomb, which contained even greater danger. Of course, greater fortuitous encounters accompanied danger. Chapter 2303. Go! The 9th Prince Wang Yan left Black Wind Ridge with Xiao Chen and the many guests, heading for the core region of the ancient Yan Emperor Tomb. At the same time, all the princes were getting ready to leave, and they were making their final preparations. After slaughtering ferocious beasts for 30 days, the 4th Prince Wang Yun appeared very excited. He actually managed to pass the first round. The strength of the 9th Prince's guests ranked below average among the many princes. On the surface, they were much weaker than the 9th Prince Wang Yan. Mr. Yuan, thank you very much, Wang Yun said as he looked at the hooded Yuan Zhen. You're welcome. A hoarse voice came from Yuan Zhen's mouth as he said calmly, this is very normal. As long as the other princes fight for the inheritance, they will definitely suffer losses. With great opportunities came great risks. We slaughtered the beasts from the very beginning. As long as he can persevere until the end, he will definitely pass the first round. Your Highness, you don't have to be too surprised. This guy, the 4th prince's guests all felt that Yuan Zhen was overly calm. They were dissatisfied with the faint pride that came from Yuan Zhen's head as he spoke. However, Wang Yun did not care what these people thought. He asked, Mr. Yuan, are we still going to compete in the second round? I feel that our chances are not high. However, I am rather happy to be able to clear the first round. After we leave the ancient Yan Emperor Tomb, I will properly thank everyone. If Xiao Chen could survive the first round and leave the ancient Yan Emperor Tomb, he would definitely be conferred a higher noble title than the princes who left early. He had never dared to dream of such benefits in the past. Thank you, Prince. The guest cupped his fists and expressed his thanks. To be honest, although they didn't find any inheritance in the first round, they killed many beasts. All of them possessed dragon essence, and their entire bodies were treasures. After slaughtering for 30 days, the accumulated materials of these vicious beasts would also be a huge fortune. Furthermore, the rewards promised by the 4th prince made this trip worthwhile. Only Yuan Zhen smiled coldly and said, why not? In this round, our chances are limitless. If we had to be careful in the first round, then we would have to be careful. In that case, there was no need to worry about the second round. Just wait, it wouldn't take long. There will be other princes looking for His Highness to discuss the matter of cooperation. Why? Wang Yun asked doubtfully, a confused expression on his face. Yuanjun explained, in the first round, many of the other prince's guests suffered losses. Some of the princes who were neither strong nor weak but were full of ambition would definitely pull other princes to help them. Promise them a bunch of benefits first, and then kick them away after the deed is done. Fourth prince, not a single one of your hanger-ons is missing. Furthermore, you are famous for being weak. Everyone felt that they could control him, not fearing that he would cause any trouble. I don't believe that you're still not in high demand after all this. The moment Yuanzhen said that, the fourth prince's expression turned slightly unsightly. He did not really believe Yuanzhen's explanation. Suddenly, Wang Yun revealed a strange expression. He looked at Yuanzhen in disbelief. Earlier, the third prince, the 18th prince, and the 17th prince all sent me a voice projection. They asked me to join their teams and promised me some benefits. They were very sincere. Ha 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 ha, under the hood, Yuanzhen guffawed a few times. Then, he said after some thought, follow whoever promises you the most benefits. Such people are usually the most unreliable. Just agree to him for now. When he thinks that he has you under control, give him a fatal blow and kick him away. These people all think that you are a pushover. However, in reality, you are not weak at all. Killing ferocious beasts in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb is actually the most stable way to raise your strength. Under such spatial pressure, the more you fight, the more you will adapt to the spatial pressure, and the stronger your combat prowess will be. The eyes of the fourth prince's other guests immediately lit up. They could not help viewing Yuanzhen in a different light. Wang Yun appeared somewhat depressed, his expression changing unpredictably. After some thought, he said, all right, I'll listen to Mr. Yuan. Since they all want to use me as a stepping stone, there is no need for me to be polite with them. I'll do it. Under the hood, Yuanzhen's lips curled up slightly, revealing a strange smile that no one else could see. 8 mysterious altars guarded the core region of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. The altars were several hundred meters tall, looking like small hills. Ancient talisman scripts covered the altars. The Yan Emperor holy flame burned endlessly in the center of the altars, waiting for the chosen one to arrive. However, it would not be easy to charge up the altars. Colossal lava beasts guarded the altar's surroundings. To obtain the right to use the altars, one had to defeat the colossal lava beasts. The strongest person, the first prince, had arrived long ago and was currently fighting the colossal lava beasts. The flames on the altar burned fiercely, and from time to time, giant lava beasts would jump out of it. It looked like there was no end to them. The first prince stood at the back, showing a calm expression as he watched his guests block these colossal lava beasts with the strength of a sovereign emperor. If one looked carefully, one would discover that the first prince's guests were not using their full power. They only casually dealt with these colossal lava beasts, showing no intention of killing them. Your Highness, that should be enough. Zuoyu, the Imperial Guard commander beside Wang Fei, said as he looked at the nearly 500 colossal lava beasts. In reality, as long as one did not kill the colossal lava beasts that jumped down from the altars, one could use them when one ascended the altars. These colossal lava beasts could help one guard the altars and block the ferocious beast waves. If one ascended the altars early, one would not be able to use many colossal lava beasts. Of course, only the princes with stronger accumulations could afford to use this move. The other princes would not dare to release so many colossal lava beasts. Wang Yan's expression did not change. He looked at the black-clad masked man not far away and asked softly, Lord Shi, what do you think? She smiled faintly and replied, I can add another 100. Any more and I will not be able to do it. Just at this moment, the 8th Prince Wang Feng led Dao Yan's group to the core region of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Wang Feng looked around and saw the first prince's group fighting the colossal lava beasts. First brother is really fast. Dao Yan withdrew his gaze, and a disdainful look flashed in his eyes. He said, Your Highness, this might be an opportunity. I see that there are only 2 guards by the first prince's side. The other guests are fighting the colossal lava beasts and will not be able to free themselves for a while. If you are determined to die, you can use this opportunity to kill the first prince with a lightning-quick strike, eliminating your greatest threat. It had to be said that this was a crazy plan. Once he succeeded, the first prince would be killed by him in the second round. This was indeed a great opportunity. But there were too many uncertainties, and the risks were huge. Wang Feng's heart pounded heavily. After a long time, he finally suppressed this huge temptation. He said in a deep voice, "There is no need to take such a risk. Let's play it safe this round. There are still 7 altars left. Just pick one." When Dao Xian heard this, he was slightly disappointed, but he did not say anything. "I'm afraid it's time to stop. Your Highness, please ascend the altar now," she said softly with a slight frown. Confused, Wang Fei asked, "Why?" Zuoyu glanced at the 8th prince's group and said after some thought, "Lord, she is worried that the 8th prince will charge over and surround the 3 of us. At that time, if the other guests are entangled, they might not be able to intervene. I can't guarantee Wang Fei's safety." She raised his eyebrows and smiled mysteriously as he looked at Zuoyu. A look of admiration flashed in his eyes. Wang Fei pondered this for a while. That was indeed the case. The black-clad man and Zuoyu would definitely be able to protect themselves against an encirclement. However, it was hard to say for himself. Onto the altar. Whoosh! Wang Fei soared into the air and flew past the many colossal lava beasts, heading for the altar. Colossal lava beasts continuously leaped up to block him. The Black Lotus Holy Son, the Azure Lotus Holy Daughter, the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows, and the other guests all blocked Wang Fei's path. Just as Wang Fei was about to ascend the altar, he drew his Yen Imperial Sword. A dazzling sword light appeared, looking resplendent and dazzling. The sacred flame burned relentlessly, releasing a heat wave that illuminated Wang Fei's entire face, making him look flushed and somewhat crazed. "The Crown Prince position belongs to me." Wang Fei shouted ferociously and stabbed the Yen Imperial Sword into the fierce flames. A beam of holy light immediately burst out of the altar, piercing the clouds and the starry sky, forming a resplendent pillar of light. A dragon image soared into the sky in the pillar of light, roaring in all directions. The previously ferocious colossal lava beasts below the altar all lay down obediently after the dragon roared. Shi, Zuoyu, and the others stepped on the kneeling bodies of the colossal lava beasts and ascended the altar step by step. In the distance, the various princes' expressions changed slightly when they saw the pillar of light. Their footsteps quickened significantly. Chapter 2304. Boom! After the first prince activated an altar, another beam of radiant holy light shot out from the ancient Yen Emperor tomb's core region. The radiant holy light on the altar was resplendent and dazzling, with dragon images circling it. No matter where one was in the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, they could see it clearly. The core region originally had 8 altars. Now, only 6 remained. The princes, who were still on their way, grew even more anxious. They had to increase their speed. 6 hours later, the 9th prince's group finally arrived in the core region. At this moment, the ancient Yen Emperor tomb's core region was already extremely chaotic. 7 altars had already been activated. Countless ferocious beasts rushed over from all directions. Some princes and their guests mixed in, attacking the princes who already occupied altars. Xiao Chen looked around and discovered that aside from the first prince, the 8th prince, and the 13th prince's altars, the other princes also occupied altars. Aside from the other princes, all the other princes had altars. However, this was within expectations. After all, these 3 princes were the strongest. No one would try to deal with them when they had a choice. Ruler's Great Tao. When Xiao Chen noticed the first prince Wang Fei's Great Tao, he felt slightly stunned, somewhat surprised. The ruler's Tao was not a great Tao that ordinary people dared to cultivate. Without sufficient fate and luck, one could not carry the banner of the ruler's Tao. Instead, one would be burdened by it. However, Once one reached great perfection, one could not underestimate it either. This person was indeed an ambitious person. A murderous intent flashed in Wang Fei's eyes. Xiao Qin ignored the first prince for now. Then, he quickly swept his gaze across the other altars, entering deep thought. Are we going to attack the altars of the other princes, or are we going to fight for the final altar? Qin Zhuolin asked the 9th prince and the others after withdrawing his gaze. 7 princes gathered at the last unactivated altar. The competition there was intense. If one attacked the other activated altars, they would have to face pressure from the ferocious beasts. There were only 2 choices before them. There were both pros and cons. As for the final decision, they would have to listen to everyone's opinions. Wang Yan's gaze fell on the heavenly book scholar and Xiao Chen, waiting for them to speak. Needless to say, Xiao Chen's strength was enough to secure his position as a core guest of the 9th prince. The heavenly book scholar calculated the lives of the common people. He could read people's fates and accurately grasp the strength of the various princes' luck. Choosing the weak and avoiding the strong was what he was best at. A brilliant light bloomed in the heavenly book scholar's eyes as he erupted with an unfathomable aura. The remnant might of the heavenly Tao flowed out of his body, looking mysterious and unfathomable. Apart from the 2nd prince, the other princes who currently occupy the thrones are thriving and showing no signs of decline. However, the 3rd prince, the 4th prince, the 17th prince, and the 18th prince have their eyes on the 2nd prince's throne at the same time. If we attack it, we might face the combined attacks of the 5 princes. After some thought, the heavenly book scholar said, Xiao Chen, I lean towards snatching the remaining altar from the other princes. What do you think? Xiao Chen nodded. I have no objections. After listening to the other guests' suggestions, Wang Yan already had an idea. He said calmly, we'll do as Chang Ji said. Whoosh! 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 Just as everyone was about to take action, a group of people appeared from the side. It was the 7th Prince Wang Yun and his guests rushing over. The 7th Prince Wang Yun was one of the strongest princes. His accumulations were much stronger than the 9th Prince Wang Yan's. Every one of his guests was a great perfection sovereign emperor. 9th brother, you came at the right time. Are you interested in working with me to attack 6th elder brother's altar? Wang Yun invited the 9th prince with a faint smile. In Wang Yun's opinion, the 9th prince Wang Yan did not possess the strength to become the crown prince. He would definitely be eliminated in this round. Wang Yun invited the 9th prince, giving him a chance to obtain this round's fortuitous encounter. There should be no reason for him to reject. Sorry, 7th elder brother. I have no intention of working with anyone for now. Wang Yan rejected decisively. Without saying anything more, he led the group to charge towards the 2 altars that had not been occupied yet. The group left in a hurry, leaving behind a stunned Wang Yun. After a while, Wang Yun startled awake. Damn it! This 9th brother is really not giving me any face. This is going to be problematic. Wang Yun's eyes wandered about as he muttered to himself, 6th elder brother is deeply hidden. Without anyone working together, it will be hard to take down his altar. The other altars that are occupied are not easy to deal with either. A skinny old man beside Wang Yun smiled faintly and said, 7th prince, since that is the case, let's not forcefully touch the princes that have already occupied their altars. We will rest here and wait for the 9th prince to fight the other princes before we reap the benefits. Wang Yun said softly, Humph. That's fine. If you want to put on a brave front, I want to see how strong you are. Let's go. Don't follow them first. Let's deliberately divert them. At the last altar that no one had activated, hundreds of colossal lava beasts occupied the surroundings. Hundreds of giant lava beasts occupied the surroundings. Their bodies formed by lava were like mountains, emitting steaming hot flames. The 7 monarchs split into 2 groups, currently fighting a chaotic battle. No one wanted to give up on this last altar. However, it was hard to determine a victor immediately. There were simply too many princes gathered here. This deterred the latecomers from choosing this altar. This was because occupying this altar would definitely result in the combined counterattack of the 7 princes. At that time, just thinking about it would be a headache. The leaders of the 2 groups were the 2nd prince and the 15th prince. With the help of the other princes, victory was hard to determine. Furthermore, with the presence of the colossal lava beasts, the situation became even more chaotic. Just as the 2 sides fought, a scarlet war banner descended from the sky. Boom! The scarlet blood royal might that erupted from the war banner swept out in all directions, forcibly separating the princes and guests fighting each other. Xiao Sua slowly descended. Holding the scarlet blood war banner, he looked coldly at the surroundings. Ninth brother! Ninth brother! The 2nd prince and the 15th prince, who were the leaders, were slightly stunned. Clearly, they had not expected the low-profile Wang Yan to act so strangely. Instead of working with the other princes to occupy the altars that were already activated, he wanted to challenge them. However, the situation did not allow them to overthink. Xiao Sua used the Scarlet Blood War banner to forcibly separate the princes. A golden crow image formed by the solar true flame descended from the sky and charged over. Boom! The golden crow image immediately scattered the many colossal lava beasts surrounding the altar, forcibly carving out a bloody path. Wang Yan quickly followed, using this opening to soar into the air and fly to the altar. Damn it! Stop him! Stop him! Immediately, several of the guests of the 7 princes burst out with startling murderous intent as they charged at Wang Yan. They wanted to stop him from ascending the altar. Senior Feng, it's up to you. Hao Kai smiled faintly as he spoke to Senior Feng beside him. Got it. Senior Feng showed a grave expression as he quickly formed hand seals, sending a killing move into the 9th prince's body in advance. The killing move activated from afar. In that instant, a strong wind burst out of the 9th prince's body. This wind blocked the guests who wanted to charge at him. After blocking the first wave of attacks, Wu Meng, Qin Zhuolin, and the Heavenly Book Scholar made their moves at the same time, landing behind Wang Yan. Whoosh! Whoosh! Hao Kai and Senior Feng moved to Wang Yan's sides, helping him block the others. Xiao Sua, who was on the ground, used the Scarlet Blood War banner to delay the remaining guests. For a moment, Wang Yan walked unimpeded toward the blazing altar step by step. You want to ascend the altar? It is not that easy. The 2nd prince felt enraged. He wanted to draw his Yen Imperial sword. However, the instant the 2nd prince grasped his sword, a bone-chilling killing intent assaulted him, forcing him to look away from Wang Yan. At some point in time, a long-haired cultivator wearing silver battle armor decorated with dragon motifs and carrying a saber on his back appeared in front of the 2nd prince. 2 ice-cold corpses lay at the 2nd prince's feet. When the corpses were alive, they clearly wanted to stop the 2nd prince. Unexpectedly, they ended up losing their lives. The 2nd prince felt a chill run down his back. He did not even know how these 2 people died, he had not noticed them at all. The 2nd prince's hand, which grasped his sword, trembled slightly. The person responsible for his safety was about to make a move. Stop! The 2nd prince shouted. He felt that even if these 2 people made a move, they would not be able to stop this dragon-armored bladesman. Xiao Chen reached out and grasped the handle of the tyrant saber on his back. Then, he formed the Buddhist sect's 7-kill seal with his left hand, expanding his killing intent by 7 times. What was even more terrifying was that this explosive killing intent spread out in all directions like flowing water. However, none of it landed on the 2nd prince's body. It was like a lotus flower never touching water or the sun and moon never remaining in the sky. The Buddhist sect's 7-kill seal was real and illusory, putting immense pressure on one's heart. In the 2nd prince's eyes, this dragon-armored bladesman's surroundings were like a boundless hell, pitch black and horrifying. However, the 2nd prince himself was like a lotus flower in clear water, clean and untainted by dust. Strange, too strange. As Xiao Chen walked over, step by step, the 2nd prince felt a mountain-like pressure. Sweat continuously dripped off his forehead. The second prince could not draw his yen imperial sword. Give up or die. Choose. The dragon-armored bladesman stopped and drew his saber by 1 centimeter. Clang! A dazzling saber light appeared like the blazing sun, so bright that the second prince did not dare to open his eyes. Chapter 2305. Forfeit, or die. Xiao Chen's words were filled with murderous intent. When he drew the tyrant's saber by 1 centimeter, the second prince's mental defenses crumbled. Bang! 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 The second prince's eyes burned with pain. Blood leaked out of a corner of his lips as he took a few steps back. The second prince stumbled and nearly fell. The other princes endured the immense pressure and stepped forward to support him. Second brother. How is it? The second prince covered his eyes and said sullenly, Go. Don't bother about me. Let's go together. We still have a chance. Do we still have a chance? A sour feeling welled up in the second prince's heart. He let the other princes go but not him. It was not that he could not, he did not dare to. This was because Xiao Chen did not allow the second prince to leave. He only gave the second prince 2 choices, either die or forfeit. If the second prince did not want to die, he could only forfeit. The second prince had no other choice. The second prince pushed the other princes aside and shouted, I told you to go, so go. Don't bother about me. I forfeit. After the second prince's voice rang out, his figure slowly turned indistinct. Then, he vanished, forcefully sent out by the Imperial Ancestral Temple's elders. Whoosh! His 10 guests left with the second prince. Immediately, the pressure on Wu Mang and the others, who were protecting Wang Yan in the air, decreased. Clang! Xiao Chen sheathed his saber and looked around. Then, he fixed his gaze on the other 2 princes with the first prince. Go! 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 The 2 princes' hearts pounded wildly. A chill invaded their limbs and bones, feeling horrified. They quickly called out to their guests and quickly left this place. Ignoring the princes who left, Xiao Chen turned around and looked in another direction. The demon blood vulture was suppressing the 4 princes, led by the 15th prince, by itself. Most of the prince's guests had already gone to attack Wang Yan, who was in the air. Not many remained on the ground. The demon blood vulture was like a blazing scarlet phoenix, dyeing the sky scarlet. Occasionally, it flapped its wings, kicking up a bloody rain and wind. The bloody rain was poisonous and corrosive, and the wind contained inattributed flames. If one was not careful, one would be covered in wounds. Roar! Suddenly, the demon blood vulture opened its mouth, and a horrifying suction force burst out. Rumble! A strong wind blew, and a boundless suction pulled these people towards the demon blood vulture's mouth. The 4 princes drew their yen imperial swords with unsightly expressions, doing their best to resist. However, Xiao Chen still could not avoid the demon blood vulture's suction. The yen imperial sword in the prince's hand could provide him with boundless combat prowess in the Yenwu dynasty's territory. In the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, this kind of support could be multiplied. However, after these princes drew their yen imperial swords, their situation did not improve. This showed how horrifying the strength of the demon blood vulture was after breaking out of its cocoon. When the demon blood vulture saw that it could not devour these things, it became somewhat frustrated. The scarlet flame on its body flared up. His body grew rapidly, and as he spread his wings, everything within 5,000 kilometers was plunged into darkness. Phoenix fire ablaze. Then, it suddenly turned into a raging flame and swooped down. The raging flames instantly covered the ground, burning fiercely. The flames were so large that they were like a vast ocean, the waves roaring angrily. The 4 princes, without exception, fell into the sea of fire at the same time, screaming miserably. Your Highness! When the guests surrounding Wang Yan saw the situation, they were startled. They had no choice but to give up on stopping Wang Yan from ascending the altar. Then, they turned around and landed to save their princes. Wang Yan, who had been approaching the altar step by step, no longer faced any obstruction. He leaped into the air and landed on the altar. Wu Meng and the others heaved a sigh of relief, revealing joy on their faces. Earlier, they had blocked 40-odd sovereign emperors, putting them in a perilous situation. Fortunately, they managed to pull through. On a slope far away from the altar, the seventh prince and his group were observing everything that was happening in this place with great interest. When Wang Yun saw Shao Chen scare off the other princes by himself, he frowned slightly. This Shao Chen is somewhat scary. No wonder he could ruin first brother's wedding. He cannot be underestimated. The skinny old man at the side smiled coldly and said, "Ha! No matter how difficult he is to deal with, he is just a three-vein sovereign emperor in the end. There is no need for your highness to worry." Wang Yun nodded. After some thought, he said, "Right, I naturally know that. How can this prince be trash like second brother, forced to give up without even drawing his sword? Seventh prince, look over there." Wang Yun looked around, and shock immediately appeared on his face. He was completely stunned by the demon blood vulture's strength. What demonic pet is this? The skinny old man narrowed his eyes slightly and said, "Demon blood vulture. It should be a demon blood vulture. Furthermore, it is a demon blood vulture with a mutated bloodline, continuously reverting to its ancestral state." Interesting. Greed flashed in Wang Yun's eyes as he said, "Demon blood vultures are rare in the first place. One with a mutated bloodline is even rarer. If it were in my hands, it would be incredible. Come, charge with me. Ninth brother is about to reach the altar." Ha ha ha. It looked like Wang Yan was about to reach the altar. Wang Yun, who had been waiting impatiently, laughed maniacally and immediately prepared to charge over. He wanted to take advantage of the fact that Wu Meng, Hao Kai, and the others had just finished a huge battle and had not rested yet to take advantage. Wind. However, just as the group leaped off the mound and was about to take action, a strong wind carrying a boundless saber aura surged over. The wind swept up sand and sand, causing the group's clothes to flutter. They could not keep their eyes open. What's going on? Wang Yun squinted his eyes and looked forward. He saw a blurry figure slowly walking out from the sandstorm. That figure slowly became clearer in the sandstorm. That figure wore familiar silver battle armor with dragon motifs swimming around it. His facial features were delicate and distinct, and a sharp light radiated from his face. With just one look, Wang Yun felt a solid tyrannical aura surging over. If this was not Shao Chen, who else could it be? How arrogant! Someone among the seventh prince's guests shouted and used his emperor's might to push back the sandstorm. Shao Chen, who was wearing the alloy dragon armor, showed a faint smile on his face, not minding it. He allowed the strong wind to blow on his body. As his long hair fluttered, he exuded an air of calmness and calmness. Wang Yun's expression turned sullen as he said coldly, "Shao Chen, do you think that I am trash like second brother? Do you think that I will give up in fear before you even make one move?" Shao Chen replied softly, "Naturally not. The reason why the second prince could be frightened by me was because none of his followers were by his side. The seventh prince's guests are around, so he is naturally confident." The moment Shao Chen said that, Wang Yun felt an irrepressible rage in his heart. He was a smart person and immediately understood what Shao Chen meant. Shao Chen was saying that Wang Yun was trash like the second prince, just that he had more guests by his side. The skinny old man smiled faintly and patted the seventh prince's shoulder. "Seventh prince, there is no need to get angry. Leave this brat to me. You all quickly go and occupy the altar. He is buying time so that the ninth prince's guests can recover some strength." Hee hee. Trying to play tricks before me? Young man, you are still too inexperienced. Wang Yun was startled upon hearing that. This brat nearly angered him into losing his mind. Now was the best time to occupy the ninth prince's altar. Wang Yun did not have time to waste with this Shao Chen. Humph. Let's go. There is no need to care about him. Whoosh! Whoosh! A group of people soared into the air, wanting to bypass Xiao Chen and charge towards the ninth prince's altar. Xiao Chen closed his eyes, showing a calm expression. 6th layer Thunder Dao Domain. 4th layer Ice Dao Domain. 2nd layer Saber Dao Domain. 3 Dao domains layered over Xiao Chen's body. The pure Dao might in his body even surpassed that of a small world formed by a 10th layer Dao domain. Xiao Chen opened his eyes, drew his saber, and drew it. Xiao Chen carried the Dao might that surpassed a 10th layer Dao domain. The tyrant saber in his hand erupted with a boundless saber aura. The saber aura soared into the clouds, covering the sky and covering the ground. As Xiao Chen's saber descended, it seemed like it was one with heaven. The guests that looked like they were about to fly over Xiao Chen's head all grunted as if they had suffered a heavy blow. Blood leaked out of the corners of their mouths as if they had suffered a heavy blow. The boundless saber aura that descended from the sky severely injured them. Then, they fell like meteors at lightning speed. Bang! 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 This saber strike forced back the 9 great perfection sovereign emperors, as well as the 7th prince. The Dao might that surpassed the 10th layer Dao domain made Xiao Chen, who wore the alloy dragon armor, look like a dragon god descending from the heavens. As Xiao Chen held his saber horizontally, he looked straight at the skinny old man. Then, he said indifferently, "I did not agree to let them pass. Your words do not count, mine does." Chapter 2306. Since arriving in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, Xiao Chen rarely drew his saber. He mostly used the Supreme Dragon Fist to fight. However, it would be a huge mistake to think that the tyrant saber on Xiao Chen's back was just for show. After his conversation with Chu Chaoyun, Xiao Chen felt an irreversible rage and helplessness at the cycle of epochs. This allowed his saber Dao domain to break through to the 3rd layer, improving his saber Dao further. Once Xiao Chen drew his saber, he could bring out a saber move that surpassed the 10th layer Dao might. When Xiao Chen swung his saber, he stunned the 7th prince and the guests that were forced back by the momentum. Dao Yan grasped a 10th layer Ice Dao domain and condensed it in an ice small world. His strength could be considered unrivaled in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. When Xiao Chen layered his 3 Dao domains into saber moves, he was no weaker than the other parties. If one treated Xiao Chen as a mere 3-vein sovereign emperor, that would be a joke. With one saber, Xiao Chen forced the 7th prince's group to a standstill amid the vast sandstorm. Xiao Chen had never thought of killing all these great perfection sovereign emperors alone. That would be too exaggerated. All Xiao Chen needed to do was block these people and give Wu Meng and the others time to recover their divine energy and soul energy. Actually, many people felt that this goal was unrealistic. However, the truth was that the might of Xiao Chen's saber forced all these guests back. Xiao Chen looked around and fixed his gaze on the 7th Prince Wang Yun, who was currently wiping blood from a corner of his lips. Raising his eyebrows slightly, Xiao Chen raised the tyrant saber in his hand and charged over. Whoosh! Leaving behind a purple electric mark, Xiao Chen's figure flashed. In the next moment, he suddenly appeared in front of the 7th Prince. Protect the 7th Prince. The expressions of the other guests changed slightly as they quickly stood up to block Xiao Chen. In the end, there was only one person. Xiao Chen could not bring out a might surpassing the 10th layer Dao might with every saber strike. There was only one way to stop the other party from advancing. After killing the 7th Prince, Xiao Chen continuously attacked, forcing the other guests to stay and protect him. This was an overt plot. Even if they saw through it, they could not do anything about it. As the weapons clashed, Wang Yun paled at the sight of Xiao Chen charging over. While the other guests were obstructing Xiao Chen, he hurriedly retreated. The many sovereign emperors tried to detain Xiao Chen several times. However, Xiao Chen did not linger in a battle. He retreated upon contact with his saber moves and killing chi. From the start to the end, it had enveloped Wang Yun, causing him to flee in all directions in a panic. Xiao Chen's 6th layer Thunder Dao domain allowed him to bring out the limits of the divine movement 9 variations. If he was determined to leave, few could keep up with his pace. Stay here. Boom. Suddenly, Xiaoqin sensed a dangerous aura and saw 4 tree trunks growing out of the ground. Ka, ka, ka. The tree trunks were stacked together, forming a wooden cage. Ka ka ka. When the tyrant's saber struck the surface, it produced a metallic clang. Despite the might of the tyrant's saber, each saber strike only left a shallow mark. Humph. Now that you have entered my heavenly wood cage, you can forget about leaving. The skinny old man, who had been enduring without making a move, hovered in the air. He showed a cold smile as he looked at Xiaoqin in disdain. No matter what, you are just a 3-veined sovereign emperor. Kill him. The other great perfection sovereign emperors had already had enough of Xiaoqin. When they saw this opportunity, they did not hesitate to execute all sorts of killing moves. In that instant, boundless emperors' might shook the sky. All sorts of mysterious phenomena covered the sky. A horrifying killing chi spread out, creating a startling lineup. Even the princes on the altars could not help looking over, wanting to see what was happening. Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique, in the mortal realm. Xiaoqin did not panic at all. He showed no fear in the face of danger as he executed in the mortal realm. Bang! The supreme killing Buddha that descended instantly burst the heavenly wood cage. That killing Buddha figure bloomed with the Buddhist mark on Xiaoqin's forehead and expanded continuously. Then, it pushed with both hands and blocked the killing moves from all directions. Rumble. Amid loud sounds, the sky shook and the ground shook. When the many great perfection sovereign emperors worked together to bombard this ancient land that had existed since the ancient immemorial era, a huge, boundless pit appeared. A purple light flashed, and Xiaoqin leaped out of the huge pit. The shocked guests once again fixed their gazes on the 7th prince, Wang Yun. When Wang Su met Xiaoqin's gaze, he gritted his teeth in frustration. He simply did not want to run anymore. He simply did not want to run anymore. Xiaoqin chased him like a dog. However, his subordinates could not catch him. Wang Su had had enough. I'll spare your life. I'll take it later. However, Xiaoqin did not charge over as he expected. After saying that indifferently, he turned around and left. Detain him. The skinny old man shouted. Xiaoqin could come and go as he pleased. How could there be such logic? Can you detain him? Xiaoqin turned around and swung his saber, executing the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber techniques resolving the mundane, sending out an eternal and inextinguishable saber light. Boom! When the saber light swept out, the guests who were chasing Xiaoqin had no choice but to stop and block this move. When the shock waves scattered, the Buddhist might vanished. When everyone looked around, Xiaoqin's figure was nowhere to be seen. He had already turned into a flash of purple light, firmly drifting towards Wang Yan's altar. He came like flowing water and left like the wind, whoosh. Xiaoqin's figure moved like the wind as he landed firmly like a falling leaf. The others on the altar had already recovered and were waiting for Xiaoqin to return. Seeing Wang Yan look over, Xiaoqin nodded. Everything went without saying. A sacred flame burned fiercely on the altar. The fiery light shone on the faces of Xiaoqin, Xiaosua, Wu Meng, Hao Kai, and the others. All of them looked incredibly resolute and determined. These people shared the same thought. They had killed their way here, waiting for this moment. Wang Yan stepped forward and drew his Yan imperial sword. The Dao might of his massacre Dao domain spread into the surroundings. The thick killing intent made the hearts of the people present tremble slightly. Just as Wang Yan was about to stab the Yan imperial sword into the altar, Xiaoqin suddenly asked, "Ninth Prince, do you know what the origin of the massacre Dao is?" "Oh. I have never thought about this question. I would find it difficult to cultivate the massacre Dao to the 10th layer within a few hundred years," Wang Yan answered, feeling slightly surprised. After hesitating for a moment, he looked at Xiaoqin and answered, "The end of the massacre Dao is the demon." Without a heart to pursue the demon, one will never be able to touch the origin of the massacre Tao. This demon is not what you understand it to be. Just make your move. Don't bother with my words. Shao Chen still wanted to say something. However, after thinking about it, he did not say anything. Wang Yan frowned slightly. He often guarded the borders, fighting with demonic Tao cultivators. Even if there were not 10,000 demonic Tao cultivators who died at his hands, there were at least several thousand. However, Wang Yan found Shao Chen's words somewhat incomprehensible. I will remember what you said. However, Wang Yan was still willing to believe in Shao Chen. This trust stemmed from the fact that they had gone through life and death together. Furthermore, there was Shao Chen's unique air and the things that happened to him that inspired respect. Thank you. Shao Chen's thoughts wandered, and his memories unfurled like a painting. The Wang Yan before him reminded him of someone. An old friend of the Kunlun realm, an old friend that Shao Chen could never forget. Yan Shisan of the Massacre Sword Dao. During the final battle of the Kunlun realm's demonic calamity, he became a demon with one sword strike, killing to seek benevolence. At that moment, Shao Chen understood that the origin of the Massacre Dao was the demon. If Shao Chen could defeat the Massacre Dao, he would be able to grasp the Massacre Dao's origin. However, back then, Yan Shisan felt that he could not grasp the origin of the Massacre Dao. He chose to commit suicide, leaving behind a tragic legend in the Kunlun realm. Boom! The Yan Imperial sword surrounded by the aura of massacre stabbed into the fierce flames. A holy light soared into the clouds, and dragon roars rang out. Shao Chen finally occupied all 8 altars. The second round of the succession race reached its most intense moment at this moment. Grim Reaper Lin Feng looked over from the altar occupied by the 11th prince in the distance. When he saw this scene, he revealed a faint smile. Lin Feng had no choice but to become the 11th prince's guest. However, he had never stopped paying attention to Shao Chen. Seeing that the 9th prince occupied an altar as well, Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. The universe origin sect's Chu Feng, who was beside Lin Feng, showed a different expression. He had a grudge with Shao Chen in the faux god world, they could be considered mortal enemies. This fellow is becoming more and more unfathomable. The 11th prince said, focus. The second wave of ferocious beasts is about to arrive. Lin Feng and Chu Feng withdrew their gazes and looked at the boundless ferocious beasts in front again. At this moment, ferocious beasts occupied the entire core region of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. The ferocious beasts densely packed the area, stretching as far as the eye could see. The princes who did not occupy altars mixed in with the ferocious beasts, attacking the princes refining their Yan imperial swords. Wang Yan, who occupied the last altar, could not avoid being targeted by the other princes. Chapter 2307. There were 8 altars in the core region. Each altar was built on the Yanwu dynasty's ancient dragon vein. The dynasty's dragon vein had been passed down for a long time, looking vast and heavy. What the princes needed to do was firmly embed their great Tao mark in the dragon vein. The Yan imperial swords in their hands would eventually become unique, becoming a true holy sword of the dynasty. I'm going in. I'll leave the ferocious beast wave to everyone. Wang Yan turned his head to look at the group as he looked at the Yan imperial sword in the fierce holy flame. Before Shao Chen and the others, Wang Yan leaped up and entered the holy flame to sit down cross-legged. The refinement officially started. Only the princes knew how dangerous it was. No one knew whether they could succeed or not. However, if they could not block the ferocious beast wave, they definitely would not succeed. Whoosh! As Wang Yan leaped into the holy flame to refine the Yan imperial sword, the altar under his feet slowly trembled. Auspicious signs drifted down from the sky like snowflakes. When the auspicious signs landed on the group, they turned into a warm current that nourished their bodies, making them feel comfortable. Shao Chen carefully sensed the auspicious signs that came from the dynasty's dragon vein descending. He felt his divine energy changing slightly. To think that there is such a benefit. If I receive enough auspicious signs, I can completely stabilize my newly advanced three-vein sovereign emperor cultivation. Surprise flashed on Xiao Chen's face as he felt some joy in his heart. Everyone knew that after breaking through a bottleneck, one needed some time to stabilize their cultivation. It was not advisable to raise it blindly. Right now, the auspicious signs that descended nourished the physical body and condensed divine energy had outstanding effects. They could help Xiao Chen during this period. Rumble. As the group marveled, the ground shook. A black mass of figures appeared in the distance. Countless ferocious beasts surged over like the tide. After some thought, Qin Zhuolin said, I understand. These ferocious beasts are here for the auspicious signs. As the princes deepen their refinement, the auspicious signs will grow stronger. At that time, the ferocious beasts that are attracted will also grow stronger. The ferocious might of the ferocious beasts put immense pressure on the group from afar. The towering altar swayed under the pressure of the ferocious aura. The ferocious beasts seemed to be charging over ferociously. The heavenly book scholar looked around with a grave expression. He said softly, Brother Qin, you are skilled in the dragon-seeking art. You can connect to the luck of the mountains and rivers. How about you command the lava beasts under the altar? Qin Zhuolin smiled faintly. No problem. I happen to have the same intention. Senior Feng, Senior Hao Kai, the two of you are six-vein sovereign emperors. Can you protect the prince and prevent other guests from sneaking up on him? If something happens to His Highness, we'll all be finished. Naturally, Elder Feng and Hao Kai were duty-bound to agree without hesitation. Brother Xiao Sua, you have the Scarlet Blood War banner. I'm afraid I'll have to trouble you and Brother Wu Meng to lead the charge. No problem. Xiao Sua laughed heroically and soared into the sky with Wu Meng. Then, they leaped off the altar and charged at the many ferocious beasts. The heavenly book scholar's arrangements were logical and clear. Finally, his gaze landed on Xiao Chen. He asked somewhat uncertainly, Xiao Chen, can I use the Tyrant Sovereign Commander's tally? The Tyrant Sovereign Commander's tally was a supreme treasure. It could hold 1,000,000 Yin soldiers, a great killing tool. Ordinary people would find it very difficult to give it up. If Xiao Chen was unwilling, all right. Just as the heavenly book scholar was thinking about how to persuade Xiao Chen directly handed the Tyrant Sovereign Commander's tally to him. What do I need to do? Xiao Chen asked directly, feeling that the heavenly book scholar had a pretty good grasp of the big picture. This gave him more confidence in the heavenly book scholar. On the other hand, the heavenly book scholar was stunned for a while before receiving the Tyrant Sovereign Commander's tally. He smiled and said, Many thanks for your trust. Xiao Chen, you are the strongest among us. I hope that you can patrol the surroundings and wait for an opportunity to kill the beast kings and force back the other princes. That's what I was thinking. Xiao Chen gently pushed off with his feet and turned into a flash of purple light. When he landed, the demon blood vulture happened to catch him. Now, only Hao Kai, Senior Feng, Qin Zhuolin, and the heavenly book scholar remained on the altar. Brother Qin, these magma beasts contain a vast amount of dragon essence. If you can strengthen them with the dynasty's luck, you will be able to summon them. If you can use the dynasty's luck to support them, these colossal lava beasts can grow stronger. The heavenly book scholar said to Qin Zhuolin as he tightly grasped the Tyrant Sovereign Commander's tally. Is that so? Let me try. Qin Zhuolin casually pointed and said softly, drawing earth as dragon. Boom! A massive dragon aura burst out from the ground where the 200 magma beasts were standing. With the support of this dragon aura, the dragon aura was extremely powerful. With the support of this dragon chi, the colossal lava beasts' bodies continuously gave off crunching sounds. Their colossal bodies shrank at a visible pace. After a while, the colossal lava beasts shrank by half. His body had shrunk by half, but his aura had doubled, shocking everyone. Qin Zhuolin smiled and said, It is really effective. The heavenly book scholar did not show any surprise. He looked to the front and said, They are coming. At the very front, Xiaosua and Wu Meng watched the ferocious beasts approach. The shock in their hearts was indescribable. More than 1,000 ferocious beasts that rivaled one vain sovereign emperor surged over. Even the sky darkened before these ferocious beasts. The ferocious beasts came in all shapes and sizes. Their attributes were also different. Some were covered in blazing flames. Some had snow-white fur, looking cold and sinister. Some hid in the ground and squirmed slowly. The ferocious beasts were sovereign emperors. However, they were ferocious beasts, after all. A human cultivator could easily kill a ferocious beast of the same strength as a sovereign emperor. In terms of intelligence, martial techniques, experience, schemes, and understanding of the Great Tao, ferocious beasts were far inferior to humans. However, when the number of ferocious beasts reached a certain level, such shortcomings could be made up for. Rise! Scarlet Blood Battle Hunger. Xiaosua roared and ferociously waved the scarlet banner in his hand. The blood-like flag fluttered in the wind like ripples in the waves. As the banner fluttered, the entire sky turned into a surging sea of blood. Wu Meng, who was at the side, felt startled. The battle hunger contained in this scarlet blood war banner was somewhat horrifying. No wonder the heavenly book scholar dared to let Xiaosua take the lead. With Xiaosua here to restrain the ferocious beasts, the number of ferocious beasts that could charge over would be reduced by half. Xiaosua grasped the war banner tightly with both hands, and a towering scarlet figure suddenly appeared behind him, holding a war banner as well. Boom! The scarlet blood war banner ferociously swung at the surging ferocious beast tide. Waves of blood surged in the strong wind. The ferocious beasts at the very front were immediately knocked into the air. Several of them crashed into each other and shattered, filling the air with blood. The startling strike of the scarlet blood war banner immediately disrupted the ferocious beast tide surging with killing chi. At least dozens of ferocious beasts were instantly crushed. The most important thing was that this group of ferocious beasts lost their insufferably arrogant auras. Kill! Xiaosua and Wu Meng exchanged glances. Then, killing chi erupted from their bodies amid maniacal laughter as they charged over. Xiao Qian, who was circling in the air, looked around the ferocious beast tide before withdrawing his gaze. There were no beast kings in this first wave of ferocious beasts. They were just ordinary ferocious beasts. Given Xiaosua and Wu Meng's strength, even if they got trapped, they would not get trapped. They could easily break free at any time. Rumble. The two blocked several hundred ferocious beasts. The remaining ferocious beasts continued charging towards the altar like the tide. However, the ferocious beasts had lost their formation and momentum. They looked like a group of scattered soldiers. It's my turn. Qin Zhuolin smiled faintly and pointed to the front. Boom! The colossal lava beasts that had shrunk to a size below the altar suddenly stood up. In that instant, these colossal lava beasts erupted with startling auras. Roar! These colossal lava beasts roared endlessly. The flames on their bodies burst forth with resplendent light, burning the sky. Countless flaming rocks rained down like meteors. Under Qin Zhuolin's command, this group of evolved colossal lava beasts charged forward, charging at the ferocious beasts that wanted to destroy the altar. A sacred flame burned endlessly on the tall altar as Wang Yan sat in it. A black aura of massacre shrouded Wang Yan's body, and his expression flickered. It would not be easy to imprint the mark of massacre into the dynasty's dragon vein. Hao Kai and Senior Feng stood to the left and right, cautiously watching the other directions. There were also blood-colored flames circling the altar in the sky. The surroundings of the altar were impenetrable, not even a single drop of water leaking in. This made the princes gathered in secret curse. They could not find any openings in this formation. Chapter 2308. Damn it, the ninth prince's guests advance and retreat in an orderly manner. They switch between offense and defense seamlessly, unable to see any openings at all. The 15th prince's group, which the demon blood vulture chased away earlier, gathered together. As they watched the heavenly book scholar and the others deal with the ferocious beast wave from afar, they frowned heavily and showed sullen expressions. Originally, the second prince and the 15th prince had gathered a group of helpers to fight for this altar. Unexpectedly, the 9th prince Wang Yan led a group of people to snatch it away. On one side, the second prince and Xiaochen forced them to give up. On the other side, the demon blood vulture put them in a sorry state and forced them to retreat. The 15th prince Wang Qi was rather strong. Furthermore, he had the support of the 3 princes. Originally, his momentum had been high. However, after the demon blood vulture's killing moves and regrouping, the number of guests decreased by half. Originally, the 15th prince planned to charge over when the ferocious beast wave arrived, while the 9th prince's guests were flustered. Unexpectedly, under the heavenly book scholar's command, Xiaochen's group of 7 did not show any openings. The first wave of ferocious beasts did not even get within 50 kilometers of the altar before it was wiped out. 15th elder brother, how about we give up? Xiaochen's demonic pet is too strong. It cannot deal with the demon blood vulture. We have no chance of victory at all, a prince in the crowd said with lingering fear. The demon blood vulture already had a shadow in his heart. The 15th prince showed an uncertain expression. The 15th prince's expression flickered. He was unwilling, but he couldn't think of a way to deal with it. None of the many guests here dared to step forward to fight the demon blood vulture. I promise anyone who can delay that demon blood vulture an inferior grade soul tool, a rank 9 heavenly pill of their choice, and 250 tons of origin liquid. Wang Qi gritted his teeth and promised to give away all the resources he could offer. However, when he looked around, no one dared to meet his gaze. They all modestly avoided his gaze. This angered Wang Qi into cursing, "Bunch of trash." Actually, these words were somewhat unjust. The guests under him were rather strong. The problem was that these guests did not listen to him. They only used him to obtain fortuitous encounters. There was no loyalty to speak of, but it was not a problem to protect your life. After all, if the prince left, the guest would have to leave as well. But if you want them to risk their lives, then you're thinking too much. The demon blood vulture's bloodline had clearly mutated. It now had divine might, which meant that it was infinitely close to the great desolate Aeon's blood phoenix. In the face of such a magical beast, the slightest bit of carelessness could cost their lives. Who would be so foolish as to stand out? No matter how big the world was, it was not as important as one's own life. Furthermore, these experts were divine Vane Realm's sovereign emperors. No matter where he went, he would be the overlord of a region, enjoying the courtesy of everyone. He did not show much respect to the princes. Thus, no matter how angry the 15th prince was, it was useless. He, 15th brother. Why are you so angry? Everyone here is a sovereign emperor, outstanding talent, much stronger than you and me. If they're trash, then what are we? So. A discordant voice came from afar. When that voice rang out, a group of people appeared before the 15th prince. Rage flashed on the 15th prince's face. When he saw the leader of the group, he demanded, "7th brother, are you here to teach me a lesson?" This person was the 7th prince, Wang Su. Xiaochen toyed with him until he was in a sorry state. Naturally, he could not swallow this frustration. After Wang Su reorganized himself, he immediately charged over. "Greetings, 7th prince." The many guests around the 15th prince did not show much change in expression when they heard Wang Su. However, they more or less acknowledged him in their hearts, so they greeted him. After Wang Su responded politely, he looked at Wang Qi and said, 15th brother, you no longer have the ability to pose a threat to 9th brother. No matter what, you have to admit this. Wang Qi's eyes sank slightly, and his lips curled up in mockery. He mocked, "So what if I am? Could it be that you have the strength to pose a threat to him? I saw that you were helpless when that Xiaochen chased you earlier." These words sounded somewhat provocative, but Wang Su did not get angry. He said indifferently, "Indeed, I do not have much of a chance of victory. However, if you are willing to help me, ninth brother will definitely lose this round. As for the demon blood vulture that you are worried about, my guests can deal with it. As for the remaining Shao Chen, I have already thought of a countermeasure. Are you serious? Wang Qi asked in disbelief as he looked at Wang Su with a contemplative expression. Do you still have a choice? You can either choose to follow me now or go around asking for favors and wait for the second round to be eliminated. If I can clear the third round, you will definitely receive many benefits. Hee hee. The ancient Yan Emperor tree will appear in the third round. There is no need for me to tell you what kind of fortuitous encounter there is, right? Wang Yun chuckled. He had a confident look on his face, not worried that the other party would reject him. 15th brother, just agree. 7th brother is stronger than us. If you do not agree, we will follow 7th brother ourselves. In any case, it is the same as everyone else. When the princes who followed the 15th prince heard Wang Su's words, they all felt tempted. Wang Qi's expression changed. After some thought, he said, as long as you can deal with that demon blood vulture, there is no harm in me taking a gamble with you. Wang Su turned his head and looked at a middle-aged man among his guests. Mr. Liu, I will leave the matter of the demon blood vulture to you. That middle-aged man wore strange clothes and gave off a faint demonic might. He was actually a demonic Dao sovereign emperor. Mr. Liu nodded with an indifferent expression. The demon blood vulture was born in the ash-gray sea. Although it is incredibly strong, it is not without weakness. I have a way to deal with it. However, I am not a match for that Shao Chen, so I can only rely on Senior Ma. The skinny old man chuckled and said, don't worry. No matter how strong he is, he cannot do anything to me. The difference in cultivation is not that easy to deal with. I just need to change my mind and delay him until you chase the 9th prince out of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Good. We will make our move after 2 more waves of ferocious beasts. Sure. After making up their minds, this group of people started to make preparations in secret. Including the 7th prince Wang Su, there was a total of 5 princes. With so many princes gathered, the powerhouses of the feudal lords outside the palace's drill ground felt nervous for the 9th prince Wang Yan. The princes occupying altars only suffered attacks from 3 5th princes at most. However, a total of 5 princes targeted the 9th prince. This 9th prince is really worrisome. Indeed. In the first round, the 13th prince targeted him, nearly wiping him out. In this round, 5 princes targeted him at the same time. It will be difficult. With 5 princes gathered, there are more than 40 sovereign emperor outstanding talents under them. The crucial thing is that this group of people is still very cautious. Based on their stance, they will only make their move after 2 more waves of ferocious beasts. The powerhouses of feudal lords and noble clan heads paying close attention to the 8 altars started to worry about the 9th prince. At the same time, the chaotic battles in the core region slowly reached their peak. Naturally, the first prince Wang Fei had the smoothest refinement. He had many subordinates, all of them geniuses and experts. Be it the Azure Lotus Holy Daughter, the Black Lotus Church Holy Son, or that mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows, they could all be considered super experts. There was also the even more horrifying Shi, who hid in the dark and did not make a move. The most convenient thing was that no other prince dared to target the first prince. This allowed Wang Fei to focus on refining the Yan Imperial Sword, unable to worry about anything else. However, the first prince chose the ruler Dao, the ruler Great Dao. Even without any interference, completing the refinement would not be easy. However, once the first prince succeeded, his strength would soar. Up until now, nearly everyone thought highly of the first prince. No matter who the other princes were, they were all slightly inferior. Aside from these princes, some of them could not be underestimated either. For example, the 8th prince Wang Feng. When Dao Yan brought out his ice small world and sealed thousands of sovereign emperor ferocious beasts with a wave of his hand, everyone felt shocked. This level of strength could be said to be invincible. In the entire ancient Yan Emperor tomb, aside from the 8th prince, no one else had brought out a 10th layer Dao domain. Furthermore, the profound Heaven Holy Land's 3 experts, the Holy Sun Wenrenyu, Mu Yunzhu, and Gu Yuhan, also showed the strength of super experts. The 3 waves of ferocious beasts easily destroyed the ferocious beasts 50,000 kilometers away from the altar. The 13th prince's altar showed another mysterious phenomenon. The royal teacher Sikong Shu and the Silver Dragon King spread out their great desolate Aeon divine might at the same time, forcing the surrounding ferocious beasts to tremble, not daring to approach. This method of winning without a fight was breathtaking. The other noteworthy ones were the 11th prince and the 6th prince Wang Ming. Each of them had an expert skilled in the Death Dao domain. They used the mysteries of death to revive the dead sovereign emperor ferocious beasts as corpses. They easily dealt with the endless ferocious beast waves, not flustered at all. The 1st prince, the 8th prince, the 13th prince, the 11th prince, and the 6th prince. In the opinion of the spectators, they would have no problems clearing the 2nd round. As for the other princes occupying altars, there were many variables. They might even get chased off. This was the general situation in the core region. To these powerhouses, there would not be any other variables. Chapter 2309. It's the 4th wave. On the altar, the heavenly book scholar looked at the boundless ferocious beast corpses on the ground with a grave expression. The air was filled with the thick smell of blood, the ground was covered with rivers of blood, and the corpses were piled up like mountains. The dragon essence contained in the ferocious beasts' bodies gave off a green light after they died, flickering like ghost flames. Xiao Sua, who was at the very front, was expressionless. One could not make out much of his expression. The scene before Xiao Qin no longer found it strange. Compared to the Scarlet Sea in the Scarlet Blood Pirate King's inheritance, the Scarlet Sea in the Scarlet Blood Pirate King's inheritance was nothing. Even so, it paled in comparison to a great sorcerer. It was still far from being comparable. Wu Meng sat on the corpse of a ferocious beast, wiping the blood off his weapon. He was also proficient in the Tao of Massacre, so he did not show much fatigue. However, each wave of roaring beasts was more ferocious and powerful than the last. Both of them could feel that the pressure on them had multiplied, and they were no longer as relaxed as they were at the beginning. On the demon blood vulture's back, Xiaoqin opened his eyes. The sky was as auspicious as snow. It was much denser than before. Catching it, Zhang Xian allowed it to melt in his palm. After feeling the auspicious signs fusing with the divine sea, Xiaoqin muttered to himself, "The 5th wave is coming. Clowns, are you still not going to show yourself?" As he said, a black light appeared at the edge of his vision, surging over like a wave. Looking around, he did not see any other princes or guests. It seemed that after the first lesson, this group of people knew how powerful he was and didn't dare to be careless again. He hid himself and restrained his aura. If they did not expose themselves, it would not be easy for Xiao Chen to pull them all out in this chaotic situation. After a few waves of beasts, Xiao Chen had nothing to do other than kill 2 beast kings. On the demon blood vulture's back, Xiao Chen secretly refined the auspicious signs to stabilize his 3-vein sovereign emperor cultivation. It moved. Raising his eyebrows, Xiao Chen sensed a powerful killing intent gathering in the surroundings. This group of people finally couldn't hold back anymore. North. Turning around, Zhang Xian swiftly looked toward the north. Xiao xiao xiao. 5 streaks of sword light appeared at the same time and gathered together, illuminating the sky. The imperial might was vast and mighty as it slowly approached. Above the sword light, a majestic dynasty was condensing. Those were 5 yen imperial swords drawn at the same time. The horrifying imperial might startled the other princes in the core region. On the altar, the heavenly book scholar showed a grave expression. After some thought, he said, "Don't panic. Everyone, hold your positions. The plan will not change." Hao Kai and Senior Feng, who had the heavy responsibility of protecting Wang Yan, raised their guard, not daring to be careless. The prince's Yen imperial sword could multiply his strength in the ancient Yen emperor tomb. The stronger the draconic luck, the more powerful the battle prowess. When the 5 Yen imperial swords appeared at the same time, no one dared to lower their guard. They all felt a mountain-like pressure. Whoosh! Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and a purple thunderbolt mark streaked across the sky. He was ready to check out the situation. A figure flew over from the sky, carrying a towering emperor's might, forcibly blocking Xiao Chen's path. This person was the 7th prince's subordinate, the skinny old man. Xiao Chen had some impression of this person's heavenly wood prison. Move aside. As the 5 princes led their guests closer to the altar, Xiao Chen did not have time to waste with this old man. Boom! Right after Xiao Chen spoke, he drew his tyrant saber and chopped down. Grass grows and shadows fly, growing and never extinguishing. The skinny old man smiled coldly, and an exuberant life force burst out of his body. Layers of emerald green tree branches grew and condensed into a ball around him, growing and extinguishing. No matter how tyrannical Xiao Chen's saber moves were, he could not destroy this ball of tree branches. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Chen sent out more than 1,000 saber strikes. Saber lights spread out, and electric images crisscrossed. However, that skinny old man relied on his advantage in cultivation to defend and not attack. As long as Xiao Chen could not severely injure the old man in one go, he would not lose. Sawdust fluttered in the air and filled the sky. The scrawny old man's figure was faintly discernible in the tree ball's life and death. He said with a cold smile, "I'm an entire major realm higher than you. The profoundness of my divine essence isn't what you can imagine. Although you're terrifyingly strong, if I don't make a move, there won't be any flaws." Who? Xiao Chen turned around and stopped attacking. He frowned slightly. Encountering such a shameless old thing was indeed difficult to deal with. A trace of retreating appeared in his heart. He did not want to waste any more time. Saving the 9th prince was more important. "You want to leave? I didn't agree to let you go. This old man has the final say." The skinny old man was obviously dissatisfied with Xiao Chen blocking the entire team of the 7th prince. When he saw the helpless look on Xiao Chen's face, he couldn't help but feel pleased. Dao Might erupted, and a terrifying Wood Dao domain spread out, instantly filling the sky. The instant the Wood Dao domain supported the wood shavings that filled the air, the wood shavings scattered everywhere. The densely packed wood shavings flew towards Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen showed a cold expression as his 3 Dao Might layered over each other, materializing a boundless saber move. Xiao Chen sent out an impenetrable screen of sabers to protect himself, not leaving any blind spots. However, this skinny old man's attack was extremely strange. The wood shavings actually stuck to the saber light. Then, they grew wildly, like grass growing under a rock. When they burst out, they could even send the rock flying. These wood shavings relied on this life force to forcefully break through Xiao Chen's screen of saber light. After that, wood shavings continuously landed on Xiao Chen's body, growing wildly. Soon, Xiao Chen's body was covered in trees. These trees tore at his physical body. The roots were like tentacles that pierced through his skin and penetrated deep into his body, destroying his internal organs and absorbing the life force in his body. Xiao Chen's strong blue dragon divine body gave these trees an even better space to grow. The rapidly growing trees shocked even the skinny old man somewhat. "Ha! Do you feel that you lost unjustly? Many times, the stronger an existence looks, the weaker it is. On the other hand, the unremarkable things like a blade of grass or a piece of wood are extremely tough and can bring out incredible power." The skinny old man smiled sinisterly. Then, he held his palms together and continuously infused his divine energy into the many trees on Xiao Chen's body. At this moment, Xiao Chen looked extremely strange. Xiao Chen stood in the air with many huge trees covering his entire body. Even his face could not be seen clearly. Only a pair of eyes peered through the intertwining branches, calmly looking at the skinny old man. The skinny old man allowed the divine energy to infuse into the trees on his body. It seemed like he was helpless and resigned to his fate. Slowly, the skinny old man could no longer keep smiling. He felt that the life force in Xiao Chen's body seemed boundless. The wildly growing trees even seemed somewhat uncontrollable. The life force they exuded was so dense that even the skinny old man felt afraid. How can it be like this? Given his cultivation, after my seed absorbed so much life force, he should have turned into a dried corpse long ago. The skinny old man felt greatly startled. However, he could no longer stop. He could only clench his teeth and continue. I really want to continue playing with you. However, I don't know what method you used, but you managed to restrain the demon blood vulture as well. This ends here. Fiendish saber inheritance, all things rejoicing together. Xiao Chen shouted in his heart, and the many trees growing wildly on his body assimilated with all things rejoicing together. Every tree, every branch, and every leaf burst out with resplendent saber light at the same time. The life force that terrified the skinny old man turned into countless saber lights and surged over. Whoosh! Without giving the skinny old man any chance to react, the saber lights filling the air surged over. When the saber lights scattered, the skinny old man's entire body was pierced through. Like a broken kite, the skinny old man wobbled and fell heavily. The many trees wrapped around Xiao Chen's body. He gently twisted his body and slid down like water. The roots of the trees in his body tried to grab hold of him but could not. The instant Xiao Chen left, the many towering ancient trees in the air without the vast life force in his body shattered and turned into ashes. The skinny old man looked incredibly weak. Then, he gently drifted down and walked forward step by step. The skinny old man appeared incredibly weak. Wounds covered the skinny old man's body, but he laughed maniacally. Xiao Chen, it's over for you. You can turn around and take a look. Turn around and take a look. Then, you will know what despair is. The 5 yen imperial swords above the altar where Wang Yan was gave off resplendent sword lights. Boundless sword moves encased the entire altar. The heavenly book scholar, Hao Kai, and the other two showed extremely unsightly expressions. Right now, it was not about whether Wang Yan could block the peak strikes of the 5 princes' yen imperial swords. Even if they managed to block it, the shockwaves from the explosion could directly destroy the entire altar. Wang Yan, who was in the eye of the storm, would definitely die. Below the altar, Qin Zhuolin controlled the colossal lava beast and fought an intense battle with the 5 princes' guests. Qin Zhuolin showed rage on his face. He wanted to help, but he could not. On the other side, the demon blood vulture's belly pressed against the ground as it screeched miserably. The demon blood vulture did its best to spread its wings and fly. However, when the wind blew, no matter how much it screeched in pain, it could not fly. A black ball as heavy as a planet stuck it to the ground inside the demon blood vulture's body. Mr. Lu stood upright in the air with his hands clasped behind his back. He smiled sinisterly and said, after swallowing my imprisoning star pearl, no matter how horrifying you are, you will have to lie down obediently. Xiao Sua and Wu Meng, who were at the front lines, were trapped in the ferocious beast tide. At this moment, Qin Zhuolin, who should have led the colossal lava beast to reinforce them, was held up. The two were in unspeakable misery. They could only do their best to hold on as danger surrounded them. The 9th prince is finished. Outside the palace in the clouds, the powerhouses of the feudal lords in the palace in the clouds sighed as they watched the scene on the huge light screen. Although this was somewhat sorrowful, it was within expectations. How could the 9th prince stand a chance against the 5 princes? Such an outcome was just a matter of time. Something's not right. Look! However, right at this moment, a sudden change occurred. A saber light flew over. Everywhere the saber light passed, the saber move sliced the sky in half like it was a piece of cloth. Ka-sie. Something strange happened in an instant. Before the 9th prince could see where the saber light came from, the 5 princes with surging auras above the altar got chopped in half at the waist. The peak strike of the yen imperial sword crumbled, looking like fireworks in the air. Go in peace. Then, Shao Qin sheathed Heavenly Slayer and stepped forward. His tall and straight figure looked like a lone mountain. The instant Heavenly Slayer returned to the scabbard, the tip of the scabbard flew towards the severely injured, skinny, old man at lightning speed. The incredibly weak, skinny, old man's face filled with despair. He muttered, turn back, sorry, I do not have the habit of turning back. Boom! Heavenly Slayer closed the scabbard and landed, crushing the skinny, old man into powder. The remnant might scattered his divine seal. The skinny, old man did not see Shao Qin turn back even as he died. The skinny, old man did not understand why there was a need to turn back after Heavenly Slayer was drawn. Chapter 23:10. While Shao Qin was defeating the 5 great princes' joint counterattack, the 5th prince was not so lucky. The first prince's altar burst out with resplendent light, looking like the sun, illuminating the entire ancient Yan Emperor tomb. All of them were forcefully sent out, turning into streams of light and disappearing. The group of people laughed at the same time. Clearly, they had always looked down on this Wang Yun, treating him as a joke. Yuanzhen chuckled as he looked at Wang Yun. According to Yuanzhen's plan, he should have made a sudden attack at this moment, killing off the unguarded 3rd prince. Could it be that Big Brother is going to go on a killing spree? Wang Yun said with some certainty. He rushed towards Shao Chen and Wu Meng, who were trapped in the ferocious beast tide. The 4th prince Wang Yun could not accept this at all. However, he endured it. After all, Yuanzhen had not missed anything since the start. But no matter what, a prince was still a prince, and the other guests would more or less have some scruples. Congratulations, 3rd brother, hee, 3rd brother is really amazing. I believe there must have been some commotion in the refinement of the Yan Imperial Sword. 4th brother, I will take my leave first. Qin Zhuolin startled to his senses and quickly directed the colossal lava beast to turn into a surging flood. Like the roar of a raging river, huge waves surged and rushed towards the horde of beasts. But no matter what, the 9th prince's crisis had been resolved. On the altar, the 4 princes looked at the blazing sacred flame with different expressions. King's Way. In the midst of the blazing sacred flame, the princes all wore horrified expressions. Those fellows were even capable of getting the 1st prince to collude with the Shuowu dynasty. Ah! After Shao Qin left, Wang Yun said somewhat angrily, Mr. Yuan, can you give me an explanation? With your strength earlier, you could have killed 3rd brother in one move when he let his guard down. Why did you just give up? I've killed so many berserk beasts that I want to puke. Seeing a berserk beast's corpse makes me sick. Ha, this 4th prince is still as foolish as ever. He must have become foolish after killing so many ferocious beasts. Even now, you are still thinking about the berserk beasts. 4th brother, we won't leave. We will protect you. Not only Wang Yun, but the other guests were also confused, expressing their confusion. He was well aware of his own strength and his own capabilities. However, it looked like the 1st prince's Yan Imperial Sword was about to complete its refinement. The 3rd prince smiled and said, this 4th brother of mine is good at everything, but he's a little silly and honest. Ha ha ha, but he's not stupid. He won't give us a chance, right? The Yan Emperor in the clouds remained calm. He did not show any rage or killing intent because of Shao Chen's attack. 50%? So. If he is allowed to merge his king's mark with the dynasty's dragon vein, he will soar into the sky. No one knows what will happen. Given the selfish nature of the Imperial Ancestral Temple's elders, it was practically impossible for them to be willing to pay a high price. The demon blood vulture soared into the air and let out a carefree cry as it charged at the ferocious beast tide. A hint of surprise flashed in the 3rd prince's eyes. 4th brother, are you not going to stay and share the dragon vein with us? In reality, princes had fallen in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb in every succession race. The 5 princes were split in half by a medial grade soul tool. It was hard to say whether they could survive or not. When Wang Yun recognized Yuanzhen, he felt greatly startled. The other guests were similarly startled. Those who submit to me will prosper, those who oppose me will die. Mr. Yuan, why aren't you making a move? We have not suffered any losses yet. This is the best opportunity. When Heavenly Slayer was drawn, there was no need to turn back. The scene of Shaoqin chopping down 5 princes with one saber strike was simply shocking. Wang Yun's heart pounded heavily. He had never thought that he could become the crown prince. After the 5 princes were forcefully sent out of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, their guests naturally could not remain. However, Shaoqin used Heavenly Slayer. According to legend, if one did not kill, one would injure oneself. When it was unsheathed, one would definitely die. A murderous intent flashed in the 4th Prince Wang Yun's eyes, but he did not make a move. Yuanzhen removed his hood, revealing his shiny bald head and the 12 ring scars on it. Yuanzhen did not panic. He smiled faintly and said, "Before coming, I did not know that the first prince chose the king's Tao. I also did not know that his refinement would be so smooth." The sword chi released by the 5 yen imperial swords on the altar scattered like fireworks. There's no need. There is a limited number of auspicious signs. If we fight over them, it will be hard to avoid harming our friendship. Third elder brother, just remember your agreement with me. I'll bring my subordinates to the core region to sweep the area. The ferocious beast corpses covering the ground are great treasures. Yuanzhen had 3 purposes in coming to the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. This is a little too exaggerated. After this, the 9th prince's situation turned around. He should not have any problems in the 2nd round. The 3rd prince, the 4th prince, the 17th prince, and the 18th prince formed an alliance. They found an opening and directly chased the 5th prince off the altar, forcing him to forfeit. Senior Feng and Hao Kai exchanged glances, not saying anything for a long time. Before the 3rd prince could reply, Wang Yun leaped off the altar and quickly led his guests far away. If Xiao Sua and Wu Meng had not rushed over, they would have died in battle. The succession race was not a friendly game. It was a cruel competition to the death. The first was to help Wang Yan become the crown prince. The second was the ethereal immortal palace. The third had always been hidden in the depths of Yuanzhen's heart. Earlier was clearly an excellent opportunity. The 4th prince might have occupied the altar and succeeded in refining it. Wang Yun said seriously, "I trust Mr. What should I do now?" The other princes sneered as they watched the 3rd prince leave. After a while, Elder Feng voiced out his concern. When Senior Feng turned his head to look, he happened to see Shaoqin sheathing his saber. This scene stunned Senior Feng. His mind short-circuited, and he forgot to move. If it were any other weapon, it would be fine. All he needed to do was use natural treasures and recuperate for a while, and his life would not be in danger. Yuanzhen laughed maniacally. Then, he revealed an unfathomable smile under his hood. "Do you think the 5 princes have any chance of surviving?" Seeing that Wang Yun trusted him completely, Yuanzhen smiled and asked, "Have you heard of the 9th altar? Do you know what the kingly Tao is?" "The kingly Tao is that those who submit to me prosper, and those who oppose me die. Aside from me, everyone else is an ant. The kingly Tao is to show such might. The stronger one is, the stronger one's Tao might and strength will be. They complement each other. What do you think will happen next?" The 1st Prince Wang Fei roared as he drew the Yen Imperial Sword in his hand, startling all the princes refining the Yen Imperial Sword to their senses. Shaoqin looked at the imprisoning star pearl in his hand, feeling its heavy weight. Then, he fiddled with it for a while before putting it away. The powerhouses of the feudal lords had long since grown accustomed to the deaths of princes. Qin Zhuolin had been commanding more than 100 colossal lava beasts to fight the 40-odd guests. Now that his opponents were gone, the pressure on him lessened significantly. Just at this moment, something strange happened. The entire core region of the ancient Yen Emperor tomb shook intensely. The terrifying imperial might caused the other altars that were far away to shake and tremble. The other guests felt somewhat dissatisfied as well. However, what does that matter? You might consider these things, but Xiaochen would not care at all. In his opinion, this is a fight to the death. Either the 9th prince dies or the 5 princes die. The moment he drew Heavenly Slayer, he did not intend to turn back. Or rather, when he decided to help Wang Yan, there was no reason for him to turn back. Even if a prince died, it would normally be at the hands of another prince. Few guests would directly kill a prince. This somewhat cruel scene immediately elicited startled cries. To think that Xiaochen was so bold. The book scholar shouted from the altar. As he spoke, he immediately leaped off the altar. Amid loud rumbling, a kingly Dao's emperor's might swept out in all directions, covering the sky. The 2 halves of the 5 princes suddenly appeared in the palace's drill ground. Senior Feng felt stunned. After a while, he no longer bothered with this question. Wasn't his question pointless? It turned out that the mysterious person that he looked down on was actually the top true inheritor of the Hidden Spirit Temple. Hao Kai said calmly, everything points to disaster. However, he can definitely be saved. It just depends on whether the Imperial Ancestral Temple's elders are willing to pay a sufficient price. The 3rd prince, who was the leader, rejoiced. He said seriously, many thanks to little brothers for helping. Otherwise, I would never have been able to climb this altar. The 3rd prince did not reveal any of this, enduring silently. However, in his heart, this 3rd goal was far more important than the first 2. Ha 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 ha. Xiaochen. Compared to Senior Feng, Hao Kai's understanding of Xiaochen was more thorough. The Imperial Ancestral Temple's experts showed hurried expressions as they quickly took away the bodies of the 5 princes. Brother Qin, quickly go and save Xiao Sua and Wu Meng. In their opinion, aside from the 1st prince, they could give up on the others. Yuanzhen said coldly, I removed my hood in hopes that you will trust me more. This is a great opportunity that comes once in a blue moon. You should know that this land of absolute beginning had the help of the Hidden Spirit Temple's ancestors. That was how the 1st generation Yan Emperor managed to locate this place as the Imperial Tomb. Now, Yuanzhen actually said that he had a 50% chance of becoming the Crown Prince and ascending to the throne. Everything went as Yuanzhen expected. The 4 princes worked together and successfully chased away the strong 5th prince. Ha 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 ha. Actually, you don't have to care about this, because your opportunity is here. If you only had a 20% chance of becoming the Crown Prince before, it has now risen to 50%. Under the hood, Yuanzhen looked around and sent a voice projection. Hee hee. There's no rush. I sense that something is about to happen. Just wait a little longer. This altar is not important right now. Let your 3rd brother have it. What? Boom. The murderous intent in the 4th Prince Wang Yun's eyes vanished. Yuanzhen. You are the Hidden Spirit Temple's Yuanzhen. Doesn't the Hidden Spirit Temple never interfere in the succession race? Chapter 23:11. Those who submit to me will prosper, those who oppose me will die. These words echoed endlessly in the vast core region of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. The sovereign Dao's might shook the world. A resplendent holy light shone on the 1st prince's altar, illuminating the entire core region like the sun. This made the altars of the other princes pale in comparison. This is the sovereign Dao. Amid the blazing holy flame, the yellow papers on the various altars opened their eyes at the same time. Intense horror flashed in their eyes. No one expected the 1st Prince Wang Fei to merge his sovereign Dao with the dynasty's dragon vein so quickly. It was simply unimaginable and unbelievable. Everyone expected the sovereign Dao to be much more difficult to merge than the other great Dao. It was impossible for the 1st prince to succeed so quickly before the other princes. Inside the palace, even the aloof Yan Emperor felt shocked. As he held the genuine Yan Imperial sword in his hand, his body trembled slightly as he said, "Impossible, why is it impossible?" The facts prove that the 1st prince is indeed the chosen one, the leader of our Yanwu dynasty's resurgence. The Yan Emperor looked back and saw the Imperial Ancestral Temple's imperial ancestor. Then, he suddenly understood something. You have already crossed the line. The ancestral teachings say that the succession race has to be fair. If you go against the ancestral teachings, my Yenwu dynasty will be destroyed. Everyone knew that the imperial ancestral temple controlled the entrances to the ancient Yen emperor tomb. They knew most of the secrets of the mausoleum. If they were willing to lend a hand, they would definitely be able to survive. If they helped, the first prince could merge his sovereign Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein at an incredible speed. However, this was equivalent to deciding who the crown prince would be. This completely went against the ancestral teachings, ignoring the ancestral teachings and shaking the foundation of the nation. A great calamity is approaching. The Yenwu dynasty is in the eye of the storm. If it does not change, it will self-destruct. Don't think that I do not know that you secretly went to Spirit Vulture Mountain. That group of bald donkeys did not agree to help you, right? The Imperial Ancestral Temple's imperial ancestor's expression did not change as he looked coldly at the Yen Emperor, appearing exceptionally cold. The Yen Emperor felt stunned. Clearly, he had not expected the other party to know him so well. Based on your confused expression, that group of bald donkeys from the Hidden Spirit Temple probably did not agree to help you. This bunch of bald donkeys have always been high and mighty, acting as if they were otherworldly masters, but in reality, they're just collecting incense and worshipping the devil Buddha. The Imperial Ancestral Temple's imperial ancestor said indifferently, "Do you want to draw your sword? You can't pull it out, right? You are already a thing of the past. A new Yen imperial sword will be born. Watch carefully, accompany us to the end of the last play, and obediently pass on the throne." So. Right after Shao Qin spoke, many experts of the Imperial Ancestral Temple appeared in the palace high in the clouds. The Yen Emperor had an unsightly expression as he looked at the elders walking out from behind the sovereign ancestor. He felt a deep sense of helplessness. Suddenly, he somewhat understood why the abbot did not agree to his request that day. This was because the dynasty was no longer under his control. The clan elder's influence was deeply rooted in the dynasty's bloodline. In the great hall below, the feudal vassals and the big shots of the aristocratic families were present. They did not know that a coup had quietly taken place in the palace in the clouds. The current Yen Emperor was stripped of his throne by the joint efforts of the Imperial Ancestral Temple's elders. In the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, the first Prince Wang Fei soared into the air amid resplendent holy light and looked around coldly. A tyrannical kingly Tao that looked down on the world made the four princes tremble. Damn it! How can this be? The eighth Prince Wang Feng felt startled and angry. His wind great Tao was only half a step away from perfectly merging with the dynasty's dragon vein. In Wang Feng's opinion, no matter what, he should be ahead of Wang Fei. Merging the wind great Tao was much simpler than merging the sovereign Tao. Oh no! The expressions of Tao Yen and the profound heaven holy sun Wenren Yu changed at the same time. This was because Wang Fei, who was high in the sky, fixed his gaze on Wang Feng, who was in the sacred flame. Eighth Prince, quickly leave the altar. Otherwise, the consequences will be dire. Wang Feng showed an unresigned expression. Give me a little more time, and I can perfectly merge the wind great Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein. There is no time. It is enough that you have already imprinted it. Tao Yen and Wenren Yu did not give Wang Feng a chance to speak. They worked together to pull him out of the sacred flame and shouted, "Quickly move away." However, they were still one step too late. Wang Fei drew his sword, and a vast dragon image appeared. The accumulations of the dynasty that had existed for 100,000 years were vividly displayed in Wang Fei's sword. When the sword light landed, the altar that the eighth prince was on suddenly crumbled, turning into countless shards. Wang Feng appeared somewhat dispirited. My altar. The scattered shards of the altar were like bubbles in a beautiful dream to Wang Feng, drifting in all colors. It's gone, it's all gone. A terrifying shockwave spread out as boundless dragon energy poured out from the shattered altar. The dragon essence turned into many dragon images, continuously heading for Wang Fei in the air, causing his might to soar. Ha ha ha! Those who submit to me will prosper, those who oppose me will die. When Wang Fei felt the overwhelming power contained in the Yen Imperial sword in his hand, he entered a frenzied state as he shouted again. The might of one sword strike destroyed his greatest competitor's altar. The swelling energy made Wang Fei's heart grow infinitely larger. Oh no! The 13th Prince Wang Yi's expression changed slightly. Then, he said decisively, retreat. After dealing with the 8th brother, there was no doubt that first brother's target would be him. Since that was the case, he might as well retreat earlier. There was no need to insist on a perfect merger of his great Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein. Since the mark was already there, it meant that there was still hope. There was still hope. The altar was already useless. If he insisted on perfection, he would definitely be destroyed. Damn it, although Wang Yi calmly analyzed the pros and cons in his heart, he still felt a strong sense of unwillingness. Whoosh! Sikong Shu, the Silver Dragon King, and the other great desolate Ian bloodline outstanding talents protected the 13th Prince Wang Yi as they jumped off the altar and fled. Bang! Nearly the instant Wang Yi jumped off the altar, the first Prince Wang Fei's attack arrived. The altar shattered in that instant, and the sacred flames scattered on the ground. The burning ferocious beasts howled miserably as they fled in all directions. Withdraw. Wang Fei smiled coldly. The Yen Imperial sword in his hand frantically absorbed the dragon essence leaking out of the altar. Aside from me, everyone else is an ant. The sovereign Tao, this is the sovereign Tao. The greater one's momentum, the stronger one's strength. After Wang Fei destroyed the 8th prince and the 13th prince's momentum, his own momentum swelled to a level that no one dared to look directly at. Below the altar, Lord Shi's group showed calm expressions as if they had expected this. How terrifying! How can first brother be so strong? The 3rd prince, who had just occupied an altar, had just jumped onto it. He did not even have time to refine the Yen Imperial sword. When the 3rd prince saw everything that happened before him, he was completely stunned, unable to continue fighting. Oh no! The 3rd prince's expression changed dramatically. He felt a killing qi encasing him, preventing him from moving, and his entire body trembled. First brother! First brother! I have no intention of fighting with you. I'll give up now. Fear filled the 3rd prince's heart. He stuttered, wanting to cry, but no tears came out. Boom! However, Wang Fei did not give the 3rd prince a chance to speak. When his sword descended, he destroyed the 3rd prince along with the altar. This happened again and again. Wang Fei sent out 3 sword strikes, destroying an altar with 1 sword strike. 3 sword strikes destroyed 3 altars. Those who paid attention could tell that this was no longer Wang Fei's own strength. He seemed to have borrowed the momentum of the dynasty's dragon vein. Before the other princes could perfectly merge their great Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein, the dynasty's dragon vein already treated Wang Fei as the true crown prince. The dynasty's dragon vein already treated Wang Fei as the true crown prince. In this ancient Yen emperor tomb, the dynasty's dragon vein was equivalent to the Yenwu dynasty's 100,000 years of accumulations. As for the first prince Wang Fei, he was the embodiment of this dynasty's accumulations. With the Yen imperial sword in hand, he carried the mandate of heaven. When the 4th prince Wang Yun saw the dead 3rd prince in the distance, he felt a chill run down his spine. If the 4th prince had not listened to Yuanzhen earlier, he would have been the one dead. Wang Yun said sincerely, Mr. Yuan, many thanks for saving my life. Shock also flashed in Yuanzhen's eyes on his calm face under the hood. Clearly, he was somewhat surprised by the strength that Wang Fei displayed. There's no need to thank me. We are in the same boat. Saving you is saving myself. Wang Yun did not care about Yuanzhen's words. He asked somewhat anxiously, Mr. Yuan, where is the 9th altar that you mentioned? Yuanzhen smiled faintly and said, there's no rush. This is not the time for you to be anxious. There is someone even more anxious than you. Wang Yun felt slightly stunned. Then, he looked in the direction of Yuanzhen's finger and saw the ninth Prince Wang Yan's altar. Chapter 23:12. There's no rush. Now is not the time for you to be anxious. There is someone even more anxious than you. Ah. Wang Yun looked in the direction Yuanzhen pointed. It was the altar where the ninth Prince Wang Yan was. Confusion flashed in his eyes. Ha! Stop looking. Hide first. Yuanzhen pulled up his hood, hiding his face even deeper. Then, he turned around and said, Mr. Yuan, tell me, where is the ninth altar? Wang Yun asked anxiously as he pulled up his hood and shifted his gaze to Yuanzhen. Wang Yun retracted his gaze and shifted it to Yuanzhen. Then, he said anxiously, a crazed look flashing in his eyes. Wang Yun asked anxiously as he withdrew his gaze and shifted it to Yuanzhen. Wang Yun had never felt so close to the crown prince position before. Since he was young, he had always been a joke among the many princes. Wang Yun clenched his right fist tightly, feeling a surge of hot-bloodedness. Yuanzhen glanced over and saw Wang Yun's expression. Then, he smiled faintly and said, not bad. I like your current state. However, this is indeed not the time to tell you. Come and hide with me first. The destruction in the battle later will surpass your imagination. Battle? Wang Yun appeared somewhat confused. First brother was so strong now. Who would dare to fight him? Wang Yun felt helpless to have such an idiot. Yuanzhen sighed in his heart. Then, he gave a simple explanation, the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. When your brothers wake up, they will understand this principle. They will only have a chance if they work together and destroy your first brother's altar. Don't you see that your first brother's guests are guarding the altar, not daring to move at all? Wang Yun looked around. Indeed, that was the case. Although the Shuowu dynasty experts and the six-vein sovereign emperors Wei Yu appeared relaxed, they did not relax at all. However, he did not let his guard down at all. He warily looked at his surroundings, his defense airtight, not revealing any openings. When Wang Yun thought of the battle that Yuanzhen spoke of, he immediately felt horrified. If it was as Yuanzhen said, just the ridiculously strong guests of the 8th prince and the 13th prince working together would not count the guests of the other princes. What kind of destructive power would that be? Wang Yun did not dare to imagine. Startled to his senses, Wang Yun shouted, Go! 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 Let's leave quickly. Don't move. Follow me. Yuanzhen shook his head slightly. Then, he led the way, leading the group of guests and the 4th prince far away. The storm in the core region intensified. The first prince, who had absorbed another altar's dragon essence, became even more ferocious. He was so strong that he was beyond reason. Just a look from him was enough to make people tremble in fear. At this moment, aside from Wang Fei's altar, only 3 altars remained. They were the 11th prince, the 9th prince Wang Yan, and the 6th prince Wang Ming. The other altars were either destroyed or abandoned. Grim Reaper Lin Feng and the Universe Origin sect's Chu Feng both had ugly expressions on the 11th prince's altar. Should we defend or abandon? The 11th prince looked at the two of them. He was still hesitant and conflicted. Chu Feng said after some thought, there's no rush. He will definitely target the 9th prince Wang Yan with this sword strike. Your Highness, you should focus on refining the Yan Imperial Sword. Only by perfectly merging one's great Tao will one have a chance to compete with him. Lin Feng glanced around and said calmly, there are still many uncertainties. I think that the 8th prince and the 13th prince can't wait any longer. That's right. 8th brother and 13th brother will definitely not sit back and watch first brother continue to be strong. The 11th prince made up his mind, no longer conflicted. Then, he focused on refining the Yan Imperial Sword. The greater the danger, the greater the opportunity. The 11th prince did not want to give up yet. Amid the fierce sacred flame, Wang Yan narrowed his eyes as he looked at the first prince Wang Fei. The shock in his heart had yet to fade. Too fast. It was simply too fast. The first Prince Wang Fei did not give anyone much time to react. He destroyed the 4 altars with an unstoppable momentum. At this moment, he was so strong that no one could bear to look at him directly. The tyranny of the kingship Tao made Wang Fei's heart swell to the point that it nearly distorted. Wang Fei was ruthless and decisive when he attacked. Wang Fei eliminated 2 of his greatest threats and 2 of the weakest princes. At this moment, no one could compete with him. 9th Prince, your fate is already in chaos. I can see the situation of the various places. The fate of heaven is in chaos. The heavenly book scholar frowned heavily. At the crucial moment, his fate failed, making him feel somewhat guilty. However, your highness's fate is a clash of yin and yang. It is hard to determine good or bad. I suggest that your highness avoid it for now. Those who submit to me prosper, those who oppose me die. After Wang Fei finished refining the newly absorbed dragon essence, he looked around and fixed his gaze on Wang Yan while laughing maniacally. As everyone expected, the target of Wang Fei's sword strike was the 9th Prince Wang Yan. Xiao Chen, do you dare to receive this sword strike of mine? When Wang Fei saw Xiao Chen on the altar, the murderous intent that he had been suppressing for a long time finally erupted without fear. Without any hesitation, Zhang Xian raised his sword and brandished it. The foundation of a dynasty that had more than 100,000 years of history. The 100,000-odd years of accumulations of a dynasty turned into a towering swordlight, looking like a sharp saber piercing through the sky as it descended on the altar where Wang Yan was. This already equaled the peak strike of a 7-vein sovereign emperor, perhaps even more horrifying. Most importantly, this was in the depths of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Even a true 7-vein sovereign emperor or an 8-vein sovereign emperor would find it hard to display such might. The unparalleled sword light far surpassed the previous 4 sword strikes. This sword strike contained the vast sword light of the dynasty's might. It was also the legendary body of the dynasty that had weathered the river of time. The might of the sword made the vast and boundless core region seem incredibly insignificant. Should he defend? Or retreat? It all depended on Wang Yan's thought. Xiao Chen closed his eyes and let the strong wind caused by the sword might flutter his clothes and long hair. Wang Fei had specifically asked Xiao Chen to receive this sword strike. However, it was not up to him whether he wanted to receive it or not. It was not a matter of whether Wang Yan could receive it or not. Instead, if Wang Yan chose to retreat, receiving this sword strike would be meaningless. This king has never let anyone down in my life. Since everyone did not let me down, I will not let everyone down. Please help me receive this sword strike. We will live and die together. Wang Yan's calm words were indistinct before the vast sword might. However, it was like tar, igniting the hot-bloodedness in the hearts of Qin Zhuolin, the heavenly book scholar, and the others. They no longer showed any intention of retreating when facing this startling sword strike. Fight! My name is Xiao Suo. Today, I wield the flag with my body of flesh and blood. Scarlet Blood Pirate King, please bestow me an undefeatable fighting spirit. Half a lifetime of ups and downs, wandering from place to place, half a lifetime of invincibility, running amok. Xiao Suo shouted and burned his life force. The scarlet war banner fluttered in the wind. The undefeatable battle hunger that Xiao Chen inherited from the Scarlet Blood Pirate King crossed time and space, breaking through the barriers of time and space from the distant past. It turned into a blood-red sun and lit up the area, forcing back the sun-like radiance of the Wang Fei dynasty. The sun is like the sky, the true fire will never be extinguished. The Golden Crow Empire's Hao Kai's expression did not change. Then, like tar, he turned into the solar true flame and started burning. His eyes turned golden, and his great desolate Ian bloodline was completely activated. Immediately, a golden crow circled around the altar, pointing at the sun as the sky, drawing the earth as the dragon. Qin Zhuolin brought out his dragon-seeking art to its limits. He pointed one finger at the sky and the other at the ground. The location of his finger happened to be the blood-colored sun formed by the undefeatable battle will, and it instantly turned into a small altar. Under the sword that was formed from the foundation of 100,000 years of the empire, it forcefully propped up the sky. His other hand pointed to the ground, drawing the earth as a dragon, summoning the image of a dragon vane to soar up with the resplendent golden crow. Righteous chi of heaven and earth, sun, moon, and galaxy. The heavenly book scholar could not care too much. He slowly opened the folding fan in his hand. Borrowing the sun, moon, and stars, he transformed his righteous chi into a blessing for this world. Aside from Xiao Chen, Wu Meng and the others on the altar did their best, even overdrawing on their life force. To block the unparalleled sword materialized by the 100,000 years of the dynasty's accumulations. Kill! Xiao Sua took the lead. He held the blood-colored war banner in his hand as he charged toward that brilliant sword light. It looked like a mantis trying to stop a chariot, a suicidal move. Even the feudal lords outside the palace could not bear to watch. Dang! The instant the scarlet blood war banner clashed with the sword light, Xiao Sua vomited a mouthful of blood. Cracks appeared in his right hand, which held the war banner. Xiao Sua's undefeatable battle hunger actually blocked that unparalleled sword light for a moment. Everyone was shaken. This scene was just too inconceivable. Even the 8th prince and the 13th prince did not dare to receive this sword strike. To think that a guest of the 9th prince blocked it. Brother Xiao, I'll help you. Whoosh! It looked like the cracks on Xiao Sua's arm would spread to his entire body. Then, 5 figures soared into the air at the same time. Qin Zhuolin gathered all the power of the world that he could connect to himself. He turned into a dragon image and attacked the sword light materialized by the dynasty, one from the left and one from the right, together with the golden crow that Hao Kai turned into. Crack! Crack! Before everyone's incredulous gazes, cracks appeared in that sword light, showing signs of crumbling. The first prince's expression changed dramatically. How can it be like this? The kingship Dao that the first prince cultivated could not tolerate such failure. Once the kingship Dao failed, it would harm the great Dao's origin. However, just as the first prince prepared to attack again, he suddenly felt a chill. When the first prince looked in the direction of the chill, he saw that Xiao Qin had opened his eyes at some point in time. A towering azure-colored dragon image materialized behind him, containing the pure royal divine dragon's dragon might.